Okay, so on to this week's Street Talk.
I've got another complaint.
What?
I just remembered also that people need to know this. What?
You can't say it. This goes out on YouTube, this bit, Gemma. This is the first thing that somebody's listened to.
Oh, well, there you go. This is an advert.
If you're a YouTube-only
to
listener, you've just missed Gemma complaining about things that I've done.
We haven't got any water now in the house because we have to turn the water off completely because everything's leaking otherwise, like spraying everywhere.
Yeah, but I've learned how to use the stopcock as part of this.
So what?
The debacle that's happened.
So what?
Okay, anything else?
I can't do anything now because the water doesn't work. And so if I need the loo, I have to use a jug to flush it. It's like living in medieval times, except I've got to record a podcast. How does that make sense? This is why they didn't have time for podcasts in medieval times. This is why it took so long to invent.
Too busy sticking jugs of water down the loo.
For the advent of plumbing.
So for those of you who are just joining us, we are recording this in a funny order today. This is Sunday afternoon, the recording. Tonight's episode hasn't been on yet, so rather than going story by story, we are going to be talking about this week's Corrie day by day, and then we're going to stop for a little bit and then record tonight's one later on. But I will give you some storyline titles for this week, Gemma. We have got Hey Hey, Go Away, which is the Adam trying to get rid of Damon's story.
Hey, go away.
Yeah. We had a bit more of the undercover journalist with old sexy Bethany and her secret mystery. All of these things, like, maybe by the time this episode comes out, we'll know what her secret is.
Why are you saying she's undercover?
Because she's just bonking Daniel, isn't she?
I know, but she's not doing hopefully she's not doing a piece about penis sizes on Coronation Street or anything.
I don't think so. We have got the Size of South story, which I do believe there's going to be more happening tonight because I've seen a little preview of that. A Brief Love Affair, that's what I'm calling Joel and Dee Dee, because I didn't have a storyline title for there. Joel's got slightly more interesting on Wednesday's episode. He has. I was like, ooh, who's that lady?
It's like, are you trying to kid? Stop trying to make Joel happy.
And we are going to finish off with the Oh Baby storyline, or should it just be Oh Dear, with Steve McDonald back in the picture, royally screwing it up. And I have calmed down somewhat since Monday's Street Talk short.
I think.
I did call Steve McDonald a cretin, and I do stand by that, but I might be able to talk about it. And, you know, when you've only got 60 seconds to record your thoughts about an episode, you have to just get it out there quick. But my detailed analysis on Steve's cretinous behaviour will come later on in this podcast. But anyway, episode by episode, we're going to start off with this Hey Hey Go Away story. Do you want to do this one? Do you want me to do this one?
I'll do Monday's Hey Hey Go Away.
Yeah.
Sarah's birthday.
Happy birthday, Sarah.
She's 18 again. You can tell by her face. Everyone's celebrating until Sarah drops the bombshell that she says, I'm going to ask Damon to move in with me. And everyone's like, you're an idiot. So Sarah goes with Bethany later, and she's telling Bethany that Damon's actually a really top bloke. I assume she didn't bring up the armed kidnapping.
She's forgotten about that now.
She's such a dense idiot.
He didn't go through with it, Gemma. He didn't actually shoot Adam in the head, so...
You know, I remember when we first started doing the podcast, one thing that annoyed me, frustrated me more than anything, was the number of times we'd get people writing in or commenting and saying, you know, it used to be better, or Coronation Street used to be better. And I always used to think, I like Corrie how it is now, it's fine.
I know, I remember that.
And I hadn't seen any of the old stuff, so I didn't really have a lot to compare it to, but oh my goodness, I just want to say one thing now, and that is that in the old days, back in my day, when it was the 1960s, because we watched in those episodes, I don't feel as though there's as much motivation is now. The character is just stupid. That seems to be the motivation for a lot of the events that happen. Character is just stupid and makes bad decisions. Yes, there's loads of room in storytelling for characters that make bad decisions. Like, I just watched, I can't remember, is it called The Beef or just Beef? The serial drama on Netflix, which is about two Americans who have a go at each other, and then they spend the whole series trying to ruin each other's lives. That's a series of bad decisions, right? But this is just, like you said, cretinous behaviour. People are just stupid. How can you be so dumb? She's got a small child.
That's the thing. And Adam has this conversation with her in the street later on I don't remember whether it was that episode or next, when he's like, I care about Harry, I don't want Damon moving in with him. And she's like, well, it's my mistake to make.
It's not though, you dumb idiot. I'm just sorry, but
he does
bad.
He does seem to have changed somewhat. I mean, we did see him. Was it this week? I've lost track of what day anything's happened and what week things have happened.
Okay.
But when he was fiddling the figures on Ed's
what's
insurance,
he up to?
that shows that he's not completely
No, not
on the
really.
level. But
No.
it's not the same. It's not the
Not the
same
same
level
kidnapping,
as,
isn't it?
as the kidnapping or the drugs
But-
or anything. But Sarah, you've had enough experience with dodgy, crimmy boyfriends in the past that you should see the signs and stay clear, my girl.
No, I mean, Coronation Street's established that she's got a problem with bad boys, like she's attracted to them in somehow. But I can't see how it doesn't make any sense to me that she found out that he actually did kidnap Adam and hold a gun to his head, and she's like, oh, that's inconvenient, but I'm just going to ignore that fact.
I get that you might... If
Like,
you've
why?
got
Right, the story... The question is, why did they write that into the story? There was no need for her to have found out that actually did happen. There's no story reason for her to know that really did happen. It protects her character and the integrity of her character more if she just never found out who was telling the truth.
Yeah, but she was going to find out eventually. That's the
Why?
thing, wasn't
How?
she? Because everybody always gets found
No,
out
that's
about
not...
everything
You
about
can't,
anybody
no, you
ever
can't
does.
say that. You can't say that.
We'd have been waiting to say, oh, one of these days Sarah's going to find out
Yeah,
about
but she
him,
might very
and
well
then
have found out eventually, because I don't think Damon and Sarah are for the ages.
Do not.
No. So at some point they're going to break up and she could have found out then. Why did they have to write it into the story?
Yeah.
She's just dangerously stupid.
Yeah. I get that if you've got a thing about bad boy, if you're a bit of a bad girl as well, but
No, that's not the case. That's not how it works. Have you not seen Grease?
I honestly haven't.
No, neither have I. It sounds really sexist and awful.
I've heard a lot
everyone.
about it on the classic episodes
probably gonna
recently,
offend
where
people.
Rosie's been doing a bit of a...
The music's great.
Yeah.
And the fashion's great.
I haven't watched Grease.
But the premise is terrible.
No, she should... yeah. Yeah, he seems to be wanting to change, but he can't help. I think he's, a little bit of a poor patch away from going straight back to that life of crime again.
Yeah. He's not rich enough for me to turn a blind eye, I'm afraid. Right, so Bethany's trying to fish for information.
Oh, you can forget about that bit. That comes from another story. Bethany's also looking for catfishing stuff, but that's a different story. This is what
this is the undercover story.
Yeah, as my notes were completely and utterly jumbled
being
this
so
week.
Unprofessional.
No,
We need to be professional now, everybody. Although this is my day off,
My notes were completely and utterly jumbled this week, so I couldn't tell what stories belong with what. Because
And
there seem to be just not many characters this week, and they're all doing various things in each other's pies.
doing things in their pies.
Yeah, they have their fingers in each other's pies. It's completely innocent statement. Anyway, carry on.
I was just going to say, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys, and that's what you got today. Right, so bit of a showdown between Damon and Adam in the street when Damon starts moving his stuff into the flat, and Adam's like stropping off. He's getting, obviously, I would be mad. This guy held me. This is the baffling thing, and do I even bother saying it? Because I've said it a million times. The lack of consequences. Even Adam doesn't seem that bothered.
He is. He's knocked about
He's knocked
it.
off. I wouldn't be knocked off. I would be beside myself, furious, plotting revenge.
Well, he is plotting revenge. He's doing all his dangerous
I guess he
dealings
is.
with Harvey.
Yeah,
he's
that's
just
true.
not getting his hands dirty himself quite so much.
But you know what? It just everyone's so casual about stuff on this programme. Okay. Later on, the Platts and Damon are celebrating a birthday. Where do they go?
I can't remember, but I'm gonna say bistro.
They say
could have been cafe.
we're going to
or
go to the
maybe Speed
bistro
Dial
anyway,
Bush.
so we might as well just celebrate your birthday while we're going for our weekly.
I think it was bistro. this time.
Even our friend Rachel, who only watches it once a week, is like, why are they always in the bistro?
I know.
Right, so they're celebrating. Adam comes in. I don't know why he didn't realise that his wife's birthday would be at the bistro. He's annoyed that they're there. And
I think he's just annoyed that he probably bought a birthday present like ages ago and he's had it saved and he's like, oh, I didn't know we were going to split up, otherwise I'd have... And it's too late to return
Too
it
late,
now.
I haven't got the receipt.
What am I supposed to do with this pair of sexy diamond-studded knickers?
Diamond-studded knickers.
Yeah, don't wear them inside out. It can get a little bit uncomfortable.
But you have to wash them inside out, otherwise all the diamonds will come off in the washing machine. Right, so Sarah's nice to him. Ken's there as well. Why is Ken there? Ken comes in with them. He comes in with
there
Adam.
because everybody goes to the bistro.
He's like a moth to the flame. How are things with Bethany, Daniel?
Oh, that's another story as well. That's fine.
And Ken says, well done for not punching Damon's lights out. And I think he tries to kind of like make out that he's always been. He has been, though.
He has been a lights puncher.
He's always been.
He's extinguished many a light in his
found
years.
it hard to resist punching people. So good on you, Adam. Although maybe you're not really a Barlow. Adam's phoned Harvey.
I don't see Adam as a Barlow. I don't. His
name is Adam Barlow.
I know. But I still think he's a lot. I think of him as Baldwin before Barlow. If I think of who's the Barlow family, he's the one that I'm going to come up with last. Am I crazy for this? He just doesn't fit. He doesn't fit the mould. Amy Barlow, Ken Barlow, yeah. Daniel I see as a Barlow more than Adam, when he's not even
Daniel's
down as
Osborne.
it. And Peter, obviously, but Adam just in my head doesn't fit.
Racist against his accent.
I don't know. I wouldn't like to say.
Well, Peter could be Scottish. He just gave it up, didn't he?
Just gave it up to him, yeah.
Right, so Adam phones Harvey and says, thank you for this mug that you got me.
Oh yeah, you got him a best lawyer mug,
best
didn't
solicitor, which was a very dodgy sticker.
Oh my gosh, it was, wasn't it? I'd forgotten that.
You guys
it was literally
need to get yourself a cricket machine.
It was literally a white mug and somebody had stuck a sticker on. And they had a nice close up of it, didn't they? Just to make sure everyone could see it. You once through the dishwasher and that's coming right off. But I suppose if you're getting it from prison, you got.
Yeah, he probably had to make that himself in the workshop or something.
Yeah, fair. Let's get him a bit of slack.
It is difficult to get your hands on things like that in prison. He's been doing some good soliciting today for Harvey, and oh god, this comes later, doesn't it? Joel has been.
No, I just missed it out on the notes.
You did, Joel... but there's this whole story about Joel and Dee Lee. You didn't write it in.
No, okay, right. I thought it was
This was like. I felt almost targeted by this. Because this is the sort of thing that I like, isn't it?
It's like, so Gemma, you say Joel's not interesting, eh? Well, he's actually quite a hot conspiracy theorist.
He's got, what was he saying?
Who shot JFK. Right? He said that Lee Harvey Oswald didn't have the gun residue on his cheek that it would have done when he shot him, so it must have been someone else, innit? Or something.
Yeah, it must have been somebody else, but who though, Joel? You need to put the pieces together, because I can tell you he did it. I know exactly who did it.
I have found Joel a modicum more interesting this week. I don't think it was to do with this. He did seem to have just a slight tad bit more of a personality this week, but when he was going on about JFK stuff, I just zoned right out of that. What on earth is this? But it's enough to give Adam a little bit of a theory to work with about, I know how we can get Harvey out of jail, isn't it? Because he didn't. We're not allowed to say. Well, we're not. Yeah, we got to move away from that story, don't we? Because that was all that happened on that story on Monday. So we'll come back to that one in a little bit. The Bethany story on Monday. I'll take this one over, and this is why we don't do it episode by episode. So tell us if you prefer this format, though. Daisy is starting off Monday's episode.
But if you do, you're wrong.
Buttering Daniel up with kisses, and he's like, Daniel. She heard about this catfishing now. Is this catfishing really that big of a scoop?
It's really not interesting at all, right? So let's remind ourselves.
Just make it up.
So let's remind ourselves. The catfishing happened. Ryan was the victim of an attack, acid attack, because he was trying to help Daisy. Daisy then they tried to get Crystal to come to carry on her relationship with Ryan.
I don't think she had much of a relationship.
No, exactly. They were just starting to date, right? Yeah. Weren't they? So they're like, come on, Crystal, don't be such a bitch. And she's like, it's impossible. So she buggered off, and then Daisy used her account or something, pretended to be her. Steal her phone? Can't remember. Did she?
I really don't.
I don't know if anything happened that was illegal here. I mean, maybe it is I suppose it is a crime to.
I'm gonna say that maybe Ryan and Daisy weren't interacting mobilely, textually.
Who? Ryan and Daisy? So what's going
on? Crystal Ryan and Crystal.
Crystal was in a coma at one point.
Yeah, that came later.
Yes, I know.
I think
let me finish. They were talking, and she was pretending to be Crystal and buttering him up. That's the end.
Yeah. That's literally
it. A woman pretends to be other woman to save someo's hurt feelings.
To make somebody not sad.
This isn't even an interesting Reddit post.
If that was on the front cover of, Chit Chat magazine, that's...
What's the snappy title there? catfish, my catfish how? And you're like, oh, that sounds scary. What is that? Oh, you got complimented.
Yeah, or maybe Bethany doesn't realise that it's not that big of a deal of a
it's
story. And
boring.
when somebody eventually tells her what happened, and she's been desperately trying to find out this week, she's going to be like, oh.
There's so many other things that are more interesting happening simultaneously. Like her mum is dating a drug dealer who tried to kidnap her mum's her stepfather.
Her great uncle was a serial killer. Is that a bit too harsh for Chit Chat magazine? Does it need to be a little bit more
They
bland
love
than
stuff
that?
like
a little
that.
bit less racy. I don't know.
It's like she's walking through like the Great Library of Alexandria or something, and she's like, oh, have they got any pamphlets? I don't want anything too heavy.
It does also make me think a little bit of This Is Corrie writers patting themselves on the back for coming up with such a great storyline as
What story?
Daisy catfishes Ryan and saying, yeah, that does deserve... To be fair, it probably was on the front of the soap magazines last summer.
They were like, what should we put down as our most interesting story that she can write about in the magazine?
Ooh, remember the catfishing?
No, come on, guys. What are we doing? The only thing I can think is that maybe she's going to uncover something more interesting.
Maybe, I don't know. But yeah,
she better bloody well hurry up.
Daniel's not interested in spreading the local gossip, so this is why she goes on to Sarah Louise later. There's also a bit later in the episode where Daniel talks about Lauren, who he's tutoring, and admitting that the main reason that he's doing it was because of guilt over the whole situation with Ryan and Daisy and getting... That
doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. Well, maybe it makes a little bit, because Lauren was involved with Ryan, wasn't she? And I don't remember.
That's not why though, was it? He's just a nosy He's just a nosy git.
No,
he cannot help himself.
Remember.
He's just a meddling nosy git. So even if she didn't want him to,
wasn't he tutoring Lauren so he could get information on Ryan or something? I don't remember. I don't remember. Bloody block filming. So Bethany goes over to the cafe. She is now not only top journalist extraordinaire, she's also mega tutor. And she says, look, I'm going to be there if you need to talk to me about anything at all. If you get any gossip you want spreading, let me know. And also I will tell you about how to be a great writer. For that is what I am. So
she doesn't know anything about Lauren.
What do you mean?
She's not like, I need to get to Lauren to find out X, Y, Z.
I think that Lauren, I think that she may be...
Will she think Lauren knows?
Well, she records Lauren on Friday's episode, doesn't she?
Yeah, but she doesn't know that she's going to tell her anything.
I can't remember. I don't know. We'll get to that when we get to Friday. But anyway, I find the whole concept... This is
not working, is it?
This isn't working, is it? We're doing our best. The whole concept of Bethany being a tutor, I don't buy it. She was never the most... what's the word? Studious, that's the word of
I know.
Of pupils, was she?
I know.
Has she got any GCSEs herself? I don't know. It was something that was made up when she had her terrible Nathan
And I said
affair.
at the time I thought it was a silly storyline.
Yeah, she wrote one blog post and that's just catapulted her into journalist superstardom.
If she's that good, you can't teach that, really. I don't think.
I don't know.
What does Lauren want to learn off her anyway?
English.
English what?
Essay writing.
Bethany,
she's doing a GCSE, isn't she? Anyway, so that's that story for Monday. Simon, Gemma, back over to you.
Okay, Simon arrives at work and he's late and he's hungover. Nick's not impressed and Leanne sends him home. We were like, on tenterhooks, weren't we? Going, what's going to happen? Because Bobby and Simon have been left alone.
With the key to the bistro.
What's going to happen?
Nothing happened.
Nothing. They had an opportunity to have some kind of hilarious mayhem. They didn't do it. And Bobby's there, like, going, give me something
put Bobby
funny.
And hilarious in the same sentence.
No, but Bobby's there
together.
going, give me something funny. At the moment, it's literally as though they'd written the scripts for every single show, and then someone said, we've got to put Bobby in it. And they just added lines that do nothing, add nothing, inconsequential. If you took them out, it would have no effect whatsoever on the scene half the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's the fuzz. Please be quiet. Right, okay, so... yeah, so that nothing happened there. So Simon, now he's been kicked out of work, he goes to the Rovers and he's getting drunker and drunker, and then he knocks a glass over. This is a bit of tension there between Jenny and Daisy because they're arguing over who's supposed to clean it up, and Jenny's still telling Daisy what to do. Though
she's still bossing her around, isn't she? Yeah. She
tells Simon to go off home, but he doesn't want to. He wants another drink. He sits down in the booth and falls asleep. He's probably been watching Coronation Street. Oh no, that's mean. Leanne comes in to try to get him to come home, and he stumbles and smashes another glass.
Yeah, so he's having a bit of a rubbish time on Monday.
We heard that we were talking, weren't we, about the 60s episodes when they had the strikes. The 60s episodes when they had the strikes. So they had to have animals in, and there was an episode I hear where there was a monkey in the bar, and then it broke a load of glasses, and the amount of money that these glasses cost to replace was quite astronomical, as I recall. So Simon needs to watch out. There's only so many glasses you can break before the landlady takes you down to the zoo.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, brief love affair now. This is going to be just a brief podcast in total, isn't it? So Monday, Dee Dee tells Ed that I've been in touch with the insurance company. You know, that whole fire drama that went on the other week. Things are looking good. I think
actually the best
I think we can
case
just forget
scenario.
about this story now.
Yep.
And basically the story on Monday was Ed doing a bit of fiddling Damon doing a little bit of fiddling on Ed's behalf, filling out his insurance form. Ed doesn't notice this himself. It's down to Dee Dee, who looks at the papers later and is like, why are you listing all these things that the bailiffs took? They didn't go up in the fire.
Why are you listing hot tub and racehorse
and Wendy House? What I don't get is how Dee Dee didn't recognise that it was two different people's handwriting that listed them.
She's supposed to be very detail orientated, but clearly not.
Yeah, they call her Dee Dee Details.
Dee Dee Detail.
He's like, it must have been Damon that put those in there, and he catches him in the street later.
I got up for a slash, and then he must have done it then.
What were you up to, trying to claim things that had gone up in the fire? Stop trying to fiddle things.
So why is Damon doing this? Damon and Ed were supposed to be going into some kind of business deal because Damon had a bunch of buildings that needed building, and Ed was like, I'll do that. And so he's like, cool. But then since then,
it's a load
Ed
of tools,
sold
isn't it?
his tools. So why...
I think Damon just would like to get his hands on some shiny new tools. And if Ed to help him...
But Damon's not a builder.
No, but he's involved in this building jobby that...
Yeah, but Michael, listen, I'm going to tell you something here. If you hire a builder and then the builder sells his tools, you're under no moral obligation to continue hiring the man to do the job.
But he said he would because he's a nice guy, isn't he? Just like Sarah's saying.
But again,
he's a good one.
this is not... It's just really convoluted and fake. Like, nobody would do this. Nobody would act this way, would they?
I find it very... Yeah, whenever Damon and Ed get together in a scene, I'm like, why are you
talking to each other
for?
You don't have any reason to talk to each other.
You're in Sarah Louise's storyline, Damon. You know you are. But anyway, that's what goes on there. Not even any sign of Joel,
convincing,
actually.
I'm just going to say.
Right, so now we get to the main meat of Monday's episode, and this was the Oh Baby story. Is this back to me? Do I get to...
Oh, you feel free.
Do I get to let rip on bloody Steve McDonald?
Look, I'm sorry, everybody. This is moaning. I'm sorry about this. Very unprofessional.
It's not been the best week. You said that Monday's episode was banging.
It was actually funny. There were some really funny bits. I thought it was funny.
I don't know what it was, but I was not in the mood.
Yeah, but
for
you
Steve
need
McDonald
to understand.
Being an imbecile lobotomy patient like he was on Monday's episode.
Right, listen. I'm just going to explain myself here because bog standard bobbins and banging are not the same as scoring something from 1 to 5. I'm going to say that anything I would give a 3 to is a banging. And then bobbins is going to be an average, isn't it? So average is like 2.5.
No,
yes,
we've had this.
No. I'm allowed to do what I want.
Yes, okay, of course, yes.
You know that's
true.
You
do what I'm not.
But do you see what I mean? No, because it's a sliding scale, isn't it? Where do you decide where you put it?
See, in my head, banging is like if it's maybe 4 and above.
No.
Bog standard is 2.5 to 3.
Oh yeah. Sorry, bog standard is like in there. Like bog standard is, I would say 2.5. Well, it's all down to.
It's fine, and then bobbins is anything.
But
less
what
than
I'm
that.
saying is that I don't score. It's not the same scale as an out of 5.
Okay, I didn't find much of the rest of anything else that happened on Monday that interesting, to be honest. And this...
It made me laugh a few times.
Debacle, debacle, I can't even pronounce that. How do you pronounce that word?
I thought it was
debacle.
Let's
With
just
Steve
say
McDonald was
disaster.
just the icing on the cake, except the icing had gone rancid. So what happened was...
I think it's gone all crusty and it's got
It
dust
actually
on it.
did start.
See,
off
it
quite
had
funny.
some funny bits.
It did
but
have
I'm
some
just
funny
gonna say,
bits.
it made me laugh, right? And Coronation Street doesn't do that very much recently.
I found that pretty much everything that didn't involve Steve was quite palatable.
Okay.
The beginning scene, which had Sally and Tommy looking through the paint samples magazine, was quite funny. And this is prime Sally, isn't it? This is like, what was the paint? I wrote down some of the paint colours: startled mandarin and battered chestnut. This is right up Sally's street. She's not a plain old magnolia lady, is she? Although she'd probably call it classic if somebody asked her why she does have magnolia.
It's not called magnolia. It's called frightened meringue.
Frightened meringue. So that was kind of fun, and Tim comes in, and suddenly he's very interested in interior design as well, because Tommy Orpington is involved, although he's not really able to keep that interest up for long, because it is pretty much it's the precursor to watching paint dry, isn't it? Really, to Tim. I'm
going to also say that it's a one person decision, isn't it?
I don't think Tim has got any say in what colour they're going to be painting their bedroom.
But it doesn't help to have more than one person decide. Do you not think?
Well, it's nice to come up with a joint decision. Within our room that we are in now, we have got our highlight walls in, what was it, inky blue? I can't remember what it was called. Do you remember? Inkwell or something.
Yeah.
And we both agreed on this.
Oh, you think you had an input?
But what Sally wants, Sally gets, really. So Tim kind of sits down and is like, just have whatever colour you fancy. It's fine.
So it really doesn't matter.
No. So Tracy later finds Tommy in the cafe, and she's like, "Oh, why don't you?" We are not going to see Sally and Tim's bedroom. This is correct.
We might see it very
Steve's.
briefly. There's so many sets that they've got rid of, like the bloody lawyer's office.
Oh yes.
Oh, there was a flood. We mentioned it once, like months ago. You should have been paying attention. And now, what have you done with it? This is what I don't understand. What's happened?
So, is the cause of the flood in the lawyer's office the same as the cause of the plumbing problems in our kitchen?
Adam,
Adam,
can you please
Adam,
phone
can
the
you
plumber?
just...
Yeah,
I'll do it.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, But even with our flood, I'm not going to say it's going to put our kitchen out of action for 3 weeks in the same way that this has apparently done so.
I heard a rumour that they have not got this set now, that they've packed it away.
Did you?
Yes.
Where did you hear that?
I can't remember where I read that. Somebody said it, and I believe it. Because I believe everything I read on the internet about Coronation Street.
It's only a small set, though, isn't it? I've been
I don't know if that's
inside the
true,
lawyer's
but
set.
if you tell me, I think it sounds about right. But who was in charge of making that decision? It just seems crazy that they've decided they've got 3 lawyers on the show altogether having stories about lawyer things.
That's the
thing. They packed up the lawyer's office set. What are you doing?
I know. It's like, can you imagine if they did that with the hospital set? Like, they've sprung a leak at Weatherfield General at the and so we're going to just do it in Ken's front room instead. Is that okay?
I know there's always a reason. And it's usually a very good reason. But without knowing what those reasons are,
we can only speculate and see the result of how baffling exactly it is.
And what new sets have we had?
Well, there hasn't been anything new. There's the school set is new.
Do you think they've put that there instead?
Possibly.
Well, it's more important that Liam gets bullied, isn't it?
Yes. There is a lot of space for the sets.
Yeah, but we don't really know, do we? We don't really know.
They're quite cramped together.
There's lots of sets you could never break down. Like, you can never break down the Rovers, you could never break down Devs or the corner shop. Or the factory.
Yeah, but
huge.
I mean, you don't know. You might say that about the cabin, but they'd managed to go a whole year or so without any cabin scenes, didn't they? Honestly, if they could get rid of any sets whatsoever, I would beg them to get rid of the hospital set. If they didn't have a hospital set, that would force them to not have stories that had characters ending up in the hospital, because it's a weekly occurrence now.
Well, I mean, there's like a hotbed.
Yeah.
It's like literally like, you can't be in hospital because we got to wait. Come back next week.
Yeah. You can't spell hospital bed without hotbed.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That's exactly what I was getting at, for sure.
Yeah, get rid of the... What's the other one? Police stations. I suppose they can't...
Chariot Square Hotel. Get rid of that.
Yeah. They can't get rid of the police station set. It's literally built within the external... We're not getting rid of that. And it's got the cell. It's got the interview room. We've explored in there. That's really cool. Permanent now. But yeah, the Chariot Square, which is upstairs in the police station, that could be switched out for something else. And I kind of hope it will be one day.
Money.
Yeah. Well, exactly. But... it's very silly, very silly.
Well, we don't know why they've done it. It just baffles my mind. But yeah, we're not going to see the bedroom with the colour, so they pick whatever you want.
Well, it's also the fact that they think that they can mention it once, this flood.
Yes, loads of people don't know.
I forgot that. People will have forgotten, or people weren't watching the episode. And they'll say, why are they there? And yes, it creates conflict as going on in Dee Dee's flat, but...
It doesn't really. It just makes you think you're all nutters. Why don't you go somewhere else?
Like the cafe? Well,
you could do.
Or the Rovers to do your lawyerly business.
Forget it.
Okay. So Tracy, speaking of the cafe, goes there with Tommy later, and she kind of saying, "Oh, why don't you pop over to the florist later so we can?" She's kind of insinuating that there might be a bit of hanky panky on offer.
She's trying to get out of paying for it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know whether she is, but
I think she is. That would make her a lady of questionable circumstances.
I think she's like, maybe you can pay me and.
I can pay you.
Yeah, exactly.
You pay me, I pay you.
And after all, Steve's back tomorrow, and Tommy doesn't seem too keen on this. He made it perfectly clear last week that he was a one bonk and you're done, one you're done man. Although he changes his mind about that pretty quickly. But sadly for Tracy, unexpectedly, Steve does return back early.
Because he can stay away because he loves Tommy Orpington so much.
I want to know is, looking at all the times in Coronation Street in recent years when somebody has been due back from a holiday on a certain date, how many times have they come back early and not been able to get in touch with their family at home or decided not to so they could have a surprise?
I was on the plane.
Anyway, he's back. He's brought some presents for Tracy.
He's brought cheese.
Did he bring cheese? I can't remember.
He brought a whole spread of all the things you can buy in almost any shop.
String of onions, stripy jumper.
Cigarettes.
And all the stuff that you get that's a bit naughty at the hypermarché. Like, I'm not rude. I'm talking about like knives and knuckle dusters.
Oh yeah, well you're coming at that from the perspective of a young boy who went to France.
When I went to France in year 6, some of the naughty boys in my class bought knives and knuckle dusters, and they had them confiscated on the coach. Then they lost out, and I bought a Beauty and the Beast sticker book, and I got to keep it. So you think I'm the winner there, boys?
Is that what you told them? They were like, you're lucky that they had confiscated that knuckle duster.
It was in French. It said la belle et la bête. Don't know what happened.
Well done.
I was an innocent boy.
And how are you expecting to supply these stickers ongoing?
I probably didn't think that far ahead, to be honest. But it's got to look nice pictures of the background.
How cultural of you.
Yeah. Anyway, so he says, Ken, right, I'm going to make a proper go of our marriage. Don't know whether you've heard. I know you haven't seen it, but you've heard me saying to one or two people over the past few weeks that Tracy and I are having marital issues, but I'm going to make it work. And Ken's like, good for you. Me and Deirdre. I think this is the bit where he was standing next to Deirdre and pretty much just like made a gesture to Deirdre's portrait. Deirdre, remember her? We also had our ups and downs, so yes, pro-marriage.
He's like, if you want to be a main character, you got to have marital problems.
Yep. So he's got all his stuff out on the table there, all his presents. He's got a fancy French spread.
Yeah, it's food.
Yeah, and Amy comes in and she's like, you did a good job here, Dad.
I'm just going to tell you this, Michael. If we're ever having marriage troubles, and it certainly feels like we're heading that way.
It is Valentine's
I'm going to tell you
quite soon.
that food is not a present. Like, giving me food as a dinner, like, here, I've bought you a present and it's cheese, that's not going to impress me because we were going to have to eat something anyway.
What would you like? If I went on holiday to France, what would you like me to bring you back?
Don't go, here's a present I bought you. It's a bit of cheese. Go, I've bought some cheese. Sticker book? Are you going to eat it? Yeah, you're going to eat it too, so it's not a present for me, is it?
What would you like?
Just brought lunch. What do you want? A pat on the back? This is why he's having man troubles.
I know you do like Toblerone, don't you?
I wouldn't eat it though, would I?
No. What do you want? What do you want from France?
You're not going to France.
Oh, okay. I think this is very nice of Steve.
I want some of that mustard.
Oh yeah, the red mustard from
The grape mustard.
Yeah. But that's food. You said food. No food.
I thought you were asking me what food I wanted.
No.
I want some magazines.
Okay. Oh yeah, like à la table.
À la table.
I'd have got it here. Anyway, so
Oh, he brings Amy a hat, a toilet roll cover.
Novelty
for a
bubble hat he calls it, which is actually a toilet roll cover. That was kind of funny. The more I read about it, the more I think, oh, it wasn't too bad really, and I was just mad on Monday evening when I was getting mad about it. So Amy says, look, nip over to the shop, surprise Tracy that you're home. So meanwhile, Tommy's with Tracy, all paid up. They're kind of still flirting around with each other, and Tracy's like, oh, I've just I can't remember what she says. It's like, oh, you're going to go off to find your next lonely housewife. And he's like, is that what you think you are then? Basically, before long, she shut the shop, dragged him into the back for a bit of nookie on the floor. I don't know where Mary is at this point. Hopefully not.
She's there going, what? I'm trying to trim the tulips.
So Steve heads over to the shop. He's doused in French scent.
Oh, he does buy her perfume that she likes.
Oh yeah, that's true. He can see her handbag inside, and he starts rapping on the door and go, "What's going on, Tracy? I know you're in there. Where are you? It's me. It's Steve. I'm here. I'm back early." And she's like, "Bloody hell!" Climbs off Tommy Orpington. They've got clothes on. They're just they're not. They're not mid-act.
Being très French about it, aren't they?
Yeah. And she's like, "Ah, Steve, hooray, you're back, amazing!"
What a funny coincidence.
And then Tommy comes out the back as well, which was a bold move from him. Because
he could have just stayed there.
He could have just stayed there on the floor.
He's obviously not done this before.
No. So please, Steve doesn't notice at all. He's like, "Oh, it's Tommy Orpington. You've done a great job in the house. Well done for fixing the cupboard. I think you're amazing. Maybe you should stick around and revisiting the shop when you're finished over at Sally's house.
Redecorate the shop.
That's what I said.
Revisit.
Redecorate the shop. So and then it's like,
yeah, because that colour scheme's dreadful. I've always hated that colour scheme.
What, the pink and black?
Hot pink and black.
Well, they need to change the name of it. Robert's dead. He's buried, probably.
Well, he hasn't got a gravestone, so he might as well have a memorial shop.
So anyway, he invites Tommy back for lunch. It's a kind of crashing their romantic
very weird
reunion dinner. Tracy and Tommy are sitting there at the dining room table making desperate eyes at each other, and Steve's like, "I brought you a bottle of wine, Tommy Orpington. Here's your perfume, Tracy." And she's like, yeah, she's feeling guilty because she knows what she's been up to with the decorator while he's been away.
Dirty pervert.
So she heads upstairs for a lie down, and then Steve starts getting all maudlin with Tommy about the state of his and Tracy's relationship. He starts asking for advice, and Tommy says, "Look, just remember to do the little things. Listen to her. Fix the leaky sink.
Listen to your wife."
And Steve's like, "Thank you very much.
I
You're
never
a top
thought
bloke,
of that.
Tommy Orpington." So then it kind of starts off with quite a funny sparring match between him and
this was
Tim.
funny.
And this was quite funny. But it's not Steve that's making it funny.
I didn't say it was. I'm not
Tim that's
scoring
making this
Steve. I'm
funny.
scoring the episode.
Tim's just like gets jealous of seeing Steve coming out of his house with Tommy Orpington in tow.
It was basically like a woman who... It was like they were both women fighting over a man, and one of them was like, "Hey, he stayed..." He was like, "We had lunch together. We had wine. I gave him a bottle of wine." And Tim's like, "What? I can't believe..."
And Amy basically just points out to Steve later, "I can't believe you ruined your romantic dinner by inviting the decorator."
Yes.
And
I can't believe you bought a bunch of food you can buy anywhere.
I don't feel like I've ranted
France.
adequate amount about how awful Steve was in that episode. He's just such an imbecile, isn't he? I don't know. It's like, oh, we can't see what's going on right under his nose. His wife's playing away. It's a classic soap sort of story. But it's every line he delivers like he's a child. And I just remember back to how he was, 10 plus years ago when he was a serious character. He used to be able to do funny, but actually being funny and not being stupid. He used to be cool, and he's just turned into this ridiculous, embarrassing dad figure. And I don't know whether I can ever take him seriously again, or whether we'll even be asked to take him seriously again. It was he's just so like the bit where he was going to Tommy Orpington. Do you like bread? Do you like cheese? Oh, come back to my house then. He just can't. He can't say lines without sounding like a baby.
I know.
Is the director asking him to ham it up, or is he just going to naturally? I think
it's always a different.
I think
director.
maybe it has just become, this is how I deliver lines now, says Simon Gregson, because it's apparently what people like. But
there's room, but there's room for characters, all different sorts of characters, and you just decided you don't like this character. But are you hung up on what he used to be like?
That is part of it.
Yeah.
But there's like we've said before, there's lots of characters, lots of male characters particularly, but not exclusively, that have just become a bit silly. Like Tim's a bit silly and Dev's a bit silly, and Peter Barlow wasn't a bit silly and now he's not here anymore. It just makes me a bit sad. But I'm sure I'll get over it. Okay, so we're on to Friday's episode now, Gemma. Back to the Adams story. If you remember, he's just found out that he's got a loophole in Harvey's case that may suggest. You're doing it. It's back to you again. Back to Sarah and Damon on Friday.
On Friday, Simon and I keep saying Simon because Sarah and Damon sounds like Simon.
Is that their shipping name?
Yeah,
Simon.
Right. They're in the cafe and she's worried about how things are with Adam, and she wants to divorce, but she doesn't want to really push it.
Yeah, he's being very he's try and talk to him and he just goes off on one, doesn't he? He's being not in the mood for reasonable discussion. And fair play to him, he has been cheated on. Do you think that he's being a bit childish in his reactions, or is he entitled to be arsey and difficult like he's being? Because I would say so.
How would you imagine I would be?
Oh, you'd be totally arsey and difficult in it.
Yep.
You'd wipe the floor with me if this was ever the case. I'd be trying to speak to you, and
nope.
You like the way that Adam's reacting to Sarah would be nothing compared to how you were, because Adam's not allowed to swear on Coronation Street before 9 o'clock.
That's right.
But oh my gosh,
That's what keeps us together, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
Fear.
Just fear of what might happen if we were to ever split up.
So
I think isn't that the same with Jeff and Yasmin? I don't know.
You just don't know. You don't have to wash your own pants.
Yeah,
as is the tradition.
I wouldn't. I would be lost without you.
Of course.
And hungry. Man cannot live on Weetabix alone.
You don't even eat Weetabix.
I do eat Weetabix.
Off-brand.
Okay, right, go on.
Right, so he's like,
Adam
comes in and she's like, "Oh, can I speak to you later?" And he's like, "Yeah, as long as Damon's not there." I feel really bad I think Adam's right here because she's just rubbing his nose in it.
Yeah.
And he knows that this guy's. I keep saying he held him at gunpoint. He thought he was going to die.
Damon has taken over Adam's life.
Yeah.
He's Harry's new dad. He later on in the week sees him walking down the street playing rock paper scissors with Harry. He's moving into the flat.
Awful.
Yes.
So back at the flat, Adam's venting to Dee Dee, and Alia's there for some reason about the whole situation.
Because Alia works for the lawyers, remember?
Of course.
Don't forget, she's a lawyer come waitress.
That's right. Just like Erin Brockovich.
Huh?
Is that what happened? I don't remember. They're like, we'll help you. And he's like, no, don't need your help. I'm a man. Adam and Sarah meet up later and he says, right, we're going to split up properly. Let's do it. Let's sell the flat. We'll take half the money each. And she's like, oh, no, I want to stay in the flat. Of course you do. Yeah, of course you want to stay in the flat. But you can't afford it, you airhead. I'm not having Damon living in my flat, he says, and he storms off. I can see his point. I can't believe that Sarah thinks she can afford to have this flat by herself. And she thinks that Adam's going to let her live there with her boyfriend. She must be even more stupid than I thought she was. Mm. So Adam goes to visit Harvey, the evil brother. Is he brother or half-brother? Of Damon, the crime syndicate. He's actually been caught. And he says, because remember, Harvey shot Natasha thinking it was Leanne.
Because they were both dressed up as Morticia.
Yeah, because he was mad at Leanne because he wasn't. And this was like Halloween.
A couple of Halloweens ago.
This was when everything fell in the sinkhole.
Yeah.
And then he got caught. Then he escaped. Then he got caught again. Now he's in prison. And he's asked Adam to help him get away with murder. Like, you need to get me out of this. I want to appeal. And Adam's like, I've done some investigations to see, like... And
well,
also, Joel told me...
Joel's theory.
Joel thinks...
It was so shoehorned.
That it was somebody on a hill that did it.
Somebody behind a grassy knoll shot Natasha.
The grassy knoll of Weatherfield. He says, there were no witnesses that saw you shoot Natasha, so maybe we can say that the gunshot residue that was found on you...
was transferred onto you from Leanne when you were getting that car later. Do you remember? Because she ends up in a car with him and crashing into the skip.
Leanne got the residue from when she found Natasha's body, and then she transferred it onto you when you were in the car later.
Yeah.
And Harvey's like, cool. Does that sound like it would win? And Adam's like, oh, I don't know. It sounds a bit stupid, doesn't it? I can't guarantee it. And Harvey says, I want guarantees. Or Damon's not going anywhere.
Yeah, because the whole idea of this is Adam.
To get rid of Damon.
Yeah.
Adam says, well, that whole idea goes out the window immediately, because he says, well, the only way to guarantee it is if someone else confesses. Well, yeah, obviously. And Harvey says, well, that's stupid. And he says, yeah, I know. That's why you're not getting away with it, are you?
Yeah, Adam's kind of theorising out loud there. When he was saying it, I was thinking, how's that going to work then, Adam? And Harvey has to be the one to say, what are you on about? And
yeah, what's another way out of it, Adam, is like maybe society will break down and there will be no more prisons and all the prisoners will escape.
Yeah, it seems about as likely as somebody wanting to confess to murder. But, they did find somebody by the end of the episode, so they worked fast.
He's like, it can't be that the forensics expert turns out to have been crooked, because we already had that storyline. Mm-hmm. Right, so Sarah catches Adam out on the street when he gets back to Corrie, and we need to talk about this. Well, I want to stay in the flat. Whatever you think about Damon, he's changed, honestly. I'm the one taking the risk. It's nothing to do with you. Mary's listening. And she's a bit obsessed with Adam, so she gives him a hug. And he doesn't really want to give her a hug. And he gets this call from Harvey. He takes it, and he's like, John Perry? What do you mean? So he goes to the hospital to meet John Perry.
Yes.
Who is a frail chemo patient who's waiting for his treatment.
I think they should try and make Paul confess to doing it.
Yeah, why not?
There's his heroic act.
Well, he already doing dodgy stuff for money.
Yeah, he was.
So
why not this as well?
The thing is about this storyline is we already just had a cancer patient who's dying, confessing to a crime they didn't commit.
Yes, you pointed this out, didn't you, on Friday?
Laura,
and I didn't think that at all, but
Kelly's mum,
quite similar to Laura confessing to killing Rick Neelan.
Yeah, to get Gary out of it.
Mm.
So
Ian McLeod obviously thinks it's a fine idea.
Exactly,
so
good,
we're doing it twice.
I don't think people really understood how good that story was, so we're just going to keep doing it.
Yeah, it's only going to be as good if we have a scene where John Perry is lying on the bed and then
Adam's crawling all over him.
Adam crawls all over him.
I wasn't ready. Right, so...
You forgot to confess.
Back at Red Bank, Damon catches Sarah. Oh, this was dumb. I hated this.
What?
Doing her pelvic floor exercises. She stands in there in the kettle. She's going, 1, 2,
oh yeah, she's counting out loud.
You don't need to count out loud. I'm not interested. Don't do it.
Sarah has got no inner monologue.
Do your own business somewhere else, please. And she's like, I'm doing my pelvic floor. Oh, don't want to hear about your pelvic floor. She says...
That's like Corrie comedy.
It wasn't funny. It was just annoying. It's like somebody just learned what they are. So anyway, she says, what's been going on with Adam? No, she says, Adam wants us to move out.
Yeah.
And he says, don't worry about it. We'll just get somewhere else to live. It'll be great. Meanwhile, Adam is talking to John and he's saying, chemo's just prolonging my life. I'm going to confess to Natasha's murder. And Adam's like, well, how would you do that? Why don't you just spend time with your wife? He says, well, I've been a terrible man. I've made some bad decisions. I've spent years of my life inside. Because of the Gaskells. Harvey promised my family will be looked after when I'm dead. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna confess to this murder so that they can have a cushy life when I'm gone. And you need to decide whether you're gonna help.
What's your thoughts on this?
Well, why is John saying to Adam, the clock's ticking? Like, number one, what's it got to do with Adam? You don't need Adam now. Adam's completely superfluous to this entire plan. Adam, I don't know why Harvey thinks he needs Adam at all, because he had to come up with this idea. This was his idea. He found the black man. He set it up. He suggested it. He gave him a deal. And now we're supposed to hinge on whether Adam's going to help him out. We don't need a lawyer involved in this. No solicitor's going to do anything different. So why on earth does Harvey now think that he still owes Adam his end of the bargain? The only reason is because he hates Damon, so he kind of wants to get rid of him anyway. So really, Harvey's like, this guy Adam's such an idiot. As soon as I get out there, I'm going to beat Damon up anyway. Whether or not he wants me to makes no difference.
Yeah, there's no real reason for Adam to believe that Harvey's going to go through with this.
But also, I don't understand.
Maybe... Oh, go on.
What?
I think there's probably going to be something that Adam's going to be useful for, because I guess that if John is confessing, he's going to need a lawyer, and it makes things a bit easier if he's got a lawyer that he doesn't have to convince.
Well, no, I don't understand.
He did it.
I genuinely don't understand why we have to wait, why he has to say anything now, just on your literal deathbed, or like write a confession, and then when you're dead, give it to the police.
Well, David...
John's acting like he's going to die any minute.
Well, yeah, maybe he is.
Well, then why can't we wait till he's dead then?
I quite enjoyed.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I quite enjoed this little twist. When the idea was mooted that somebody else would confess, I thought, well, that's ridiculous. Of course, nobody else would. But then when they came up with this, I was like, okay, because I didn't I'd forgotten that they'd done it just recently with Laura, and.
Well, anyway,
I don't think that Harvey... I don't know. Do you think that Harvey's going to get out? In real life, this overturning his conviction...
I don't think this would be very quick.
Take months, if not years. So if it's going to happen in Coronation Street, it's probably going to take a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
It's like almost like John goes into the police station one day and Harvey's out by tea time is probably how they'll actually do it.
Well...
But I don't think he's going to get out. Or if he does, he'll get out and then he'll get killed pretty quickly.
Yeah, it will be at some kind of big event and then he'll go. Because I don't think doesn't strike me as the sort of guy who wants to work on Coronation Street forever.
No.
This actor.
No. What's he going to actually want to get out to do? Do you think, is he going to be still seeking revenge on Leanne? Perhaps? Does she need to watch her back?
Oh, no.
He doesn't owe he's not going to owe anything to Adam because
no.
Adam's hands are tied. He's
what do you mean?
Or Adam knows that Harvey could drop him in it for being crooked and dodgy, so he'd be like, "Oh, I'm off. I'm going to shoot Leanne and then disappear." You know what? See.
Well, shoot Damon as well because he's annoying.
Mm.
Also, Adam doesn't seem to have made any effort here to like actually say to John like, "Well, what's your story? What are you going to say?"
No,
I
but
guess
they have a little
about
meeting
that
in a car later.
Yeah,
don't they?
no, but like. Could he have done it? That's the question.
Well,
where was he on the night of? Because that's the most important thing, isn't it? And why did he do
if
it?
this was one of the times when he was actually in prison, then possibly going to be difficult to convince the police of
Adam calls Harvey on his phone and says, "Look, this is dumb. The jury's not going to believe a man who's dying of cancer. That doesn't make any sense to me because why would you lie? This makes no sense to say nobody would believe a dying man. Everyone loves deathbed confessions. It's like one of the most exciting things that's ever happened. There's always some story in the papers or something about some really cool deathbed confessions that happened. We all love it. Why does he say that? What do you see what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think it's just because the jury would say, "Oh, that's very convenient." Maybe
it's not though, is it?
I think they're saying maybe he is doing it to. Well, there's that reason.
You have to explain. No, but you can't just go. No, you need to explain why you would find that unlikely. The fact that he's got terminal cancer does not make it unlikely. Makes it more likely because loads of people do this. They confess because they. Do you see what I mean? The way he said it, it sounded like he was saying there's something intrinsically untrustworthy about people that die of cancer who confess things. I don't think that's true. I think that I believe somebody who's dying more than I believe somebody who.
Well, let's hope for Adam's
sake that the jury's
made up of people like you.
You've got nothing to lose. Why would you lie? And you got away with it, basically.
I guess it depends. It's going to hinge on the story that they concoct, and maybe this is another reason that Adam's going to be involved in it because he'll be able to
watertight.
Yeah, exactly. Which John's not going to be able to do by himself. Adam knows what the flat looks like. He knows about the circumstances of the murder. He knows what Natasha looked like.
blonde.
That's what we
Yeah.
Well, or like Morticia Adams.
But like, do you see what I mean? Like, the jury would believe this story because he's not just confessing on his deathbed. He's saying, I've got a month to live, and even though I know it's going to put me in prison, I'm telling you that this is what I did. I'd believe that more than I'd believe...
Because of a why would you lie?
Why would you put yourself in prison unless you're a soap character?
He
like
just
Laura.
feels really guilty, and he doesn't want the upstanding man Harvey Gaskell to be taking the rap for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's his mate. And
exactly. So that's why you wouldn't lie. You wouldn't lie also because you go to prison. This is bonkers. Right, so yeah, Adam's trying to get out of it because he's feeling guilty about this. He doesn't like the idea that to get what he wants, this poor man has to suffer. So he's saying, look, John needs to spend time with his family. He's dying. And then he sees Damon walking down the road with Harry and he's like, right, that's it. I'm gonna go for it.
Well, he also gets a bit of an egging on and encouragement from Paul in the pub later, doesn't he? Saying, I'd do whatever with about Damon, Paul saying, I'd do whatever it took me to get my family back if I was in your position, Adam.
Like, Adam does do a little neg, can he? I can't remember what it was.
Does he?
He's like...
Oh, yes, he does. What does he say? He's like... He says, Paul says, like, oh, there's plenty of time left, and Adam says, oh, apart from for you. Or
no, I can't. He says say something like that, yeah. And Paul's like, well, fair enough. So...
He's like, life... Yeah, maybe he says life goes on. And Adam says, not for you. I can't
remember. But it was a bit bitchy. And,
well, he's uptight. He's had a stressful time recently.
He's had stress.
Not that Paul hasn't.
No. Adam gets in a car with John later. And it looks like he's going to go ahead with the plan.
Yeah. I want to know, was this always the plan? Was this decided? How long ago was Coronation Street? 2 years, 2.5 years ago? Did they decide back then that... they were going to bring Harvey back and... Well,
don't forget also that Coronation Street was hinged upon the collapse of the sinkholes, which was supposed to happen like a year or so before.
But I can't remember whether... I don't think that Natasha was supposed to happen.
No, exactly.
To die a year before.
But this is why it's complicated. This is why, for all we complain and stuff, I don't know how they even make a show because... they're juggling so many different things and so many things also where they've planned stuff and then they can't do it because this happens or that happens or this character's not there or so-and-so's off sick.
That set's been packed away in a box.
Yeah, well, don't worry about it. Just do it in your front room.
It doesn't feel to me like this has been on the cards for the last 2.5 years. Otherwise, they might have had a few more clues for it. But it just about works for me so far.
They do this all the time though, Michael. They knew that Peter Barlow was leaving for a long time and they still managed to only bring it up like 2 weeks before he went.
You're never going to let that drop,
No, we'll never let it go because it was silly.
Peter Barlow's exit. I thought it's getting a bit more interesting, but it's still not a story that I'm mega invested in. It feels like it's turning into a big one for the year. I don't know.
I mean, a Coronation Street person would argue and say, you guys complain if we go on about something and have somebody mention something all the time. You can't win, sorry.
I didn't mind Mary's inclusion either with the hugs as well. I thought that was
gave us something to do.
Yeah. Back to Bethany. We only had a couple of scenes with that one on Friday. Which was basically Lauren and Bethany in the cafe, and she gets talking about Daisy. Bethany takes the opportunity to ask her what happened with her and Ryan and everything. So when Lauren is spelling all the deets that she knows at least, Bethany is secretly recording her under the table. So she's got this. It seems like she knows everything there is to know about it after this.
How does Lauren know this?
She was involved. She was living with Ryan for a bit, wasn't she? Yeah, it all came out then, I guess. Anyway, she tells her mum that she's just had a great interview, which means she can get cracking on this article at last. It's literally she's been working. She's been backing Weatherfield for what, a month and a half now. And what has she contributed to the world of journalism then? Can she really afford to survive going a month and a half between articles?
Not on
and
my
what's
rates.
This Chit Chat? Literally, as a magazine editor, let's say that Chit Chat magazine has got the same rates as yours.
No, I'm not even going to talk about that. But I don't know what the going rate is. I think it's quite high, a lot higher than what we pay. But you can't just do one article. It's not It's not a movie about Watergate. You can't just spend whole...
It's not going to immediately solve her problem either, is it? They'll say, thanks very much, we'll publish it, here you go, 50 quid. And Bethany's like, right, that's my tea for tonight sorted. What now?
Like all these magazines have on the front cover, like, we'll pay you for your story. She's not going to get much more than that. Like 100 quid she'll get for it.
It would be kind of amusing and a bit fourth wall breaky if she just continues to write for the gossip magazines, everything based on the drama and scandal that's been going on among her neighbours, because there's certainly enough to keep her busy.
Right, so
You've been doing a bit of Googling.
I don't remember if you recall that they what's her name?
Suki? Bethany?
Bethany and Suki were talking about The Atlantic, which is publication, which is very highbrow. They pay £6,000 for 4,000 words, apparently.
Wow.
So that's why you want to get your stuff in in The Atlantic. And I'm just trying to look for...
They got like...
Give me
okay,
another...
or take a break, or...
Oh, what's another women's magazine? Give me another women's magazine.
I don't know. I don't read women's magazines.
Cosmopolitan, is that in here?
Vogue.
Cosmopolitan, £200. Wow, it's crap, isn't it? 2,000 words, £600. Yeah, see what I mean? You don't... There's another one here. See, this is like a LondonFreelance.org. People have reported how much they're being paid. And another Cosmopolitan article, 1,800 words, 85 quid. That's depressing.
Yeah,
there's one here, though, first person feature, 400 words, £200.
This Chit Chat magazine, you're right, does seem like the sort that's like, tell us your story and we'll give you 50 quid.
But that's
it can be written as brilliantly as possible, because Bethany is supposedly an amazing writer, but you're not
when you're a
that much for
freelancer,
this.
you got to do volume.
Yeah, pump them out, Bethany.
And this is why she should have turned down that gig working on Chit Chat magazine, because she doesn't get paid 50 quid. She gets paid a wage to phone someone up and get their story off them.
No, I thought the Chit Chat was literally just they might be looking for articles. I didn't think it was a staff position. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's not interesting. Let's go back to the Simon
Fabulous.
story.
I was in Fabulous magazine.
You were? Is that the one with the sun
2,400 words, £950.
You didn't get any of that.
No, because I didn't write it, did I?
They just interviewed you, didn't they?
Yeah.
To talk about Corrie.
Tried to make me out to be a hapless nerd, but I was like, I'm too cool. I'm too cool for this.
Right, Friday, Simon story, Gemma.
Yeah. Oh, I'm reading
this you.
What my rate for this following synopsis is going to be £25. So everybody, please PayPal me. Leanne takes... Oh, it's conversationstreet@gmail.com. So that's the PayPal address. Leanne takes a worse for wear Simon for a chat, because he's still... he's hungover again, isn't he? From lounging in the
Rovers booth on Monday night.
She's like, I'm worried about you. And he's like, I'm fine. And she says, drinking every night isn't going to help things. And he says, I'm not going to be like my dad. Don't worry about it. Then Toya comes in.
Do you remember this?
Nick, yes, I do. I'm just trying to contextualise it. Nick and Leanne are trying to sit and enjoy their evening together, aren't they? And then in comes Toya, like the gooseberry she is, going...
No, this wasn't... No, this was still at work. That was later on, Toya's gooseberry.
Oh, okay.
This is where Simon can't
in...
work at the bistro because he's hungover, and so they're desperate for work, and Toya's just come back from a doctor's appointment.
Oh, yeah, because Leanne was supposed to... She said, I text you about this, and Leanne's like, oh, sorry, I didn't. I forgot about it because Simon's stressing me out. And she also told Nick that Simon's got a stomach bug, but he's actually hungover. And Toya then, this is when she says to Nick, you need to treat your wife to a French lunch. Tommy Orpington, I heard, really likes to gate crash those. But anyway, and then she says to Nick, give Leanne some TLC. Oh God! Then the party.
This is the party. This is part of the storyline because it's tangentially related. Well, the idea of this party is that the teens that aren't Asher and Ardy and Amy, because they're ever so slightly older, decide that they're going to perk Simon up, who is also actually quite old. Maybe I don't know, by giving him a banging party.
They have different social groups, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Nina's
But
moved over.
Since when has Simon ever had a scene with Summer?
I know.
They're not in the... Simon doesn't have a social group. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
That's his problem.
But
He's got these
Summer.
invisible
I suppose she does.
Summer has been involved, has been friends with
right.
Amy and Asher before, but I think they've ditched her for being too much of a square, maybe. I don't know.
God, I tell you what, though, this was the most feeble party I've ever seen in my life.
I was just confused as we were watching this, because they were saying, oh, let's spruce up our Wednesday night with a party. No, with the party. And I was like, is this episode set on Wednesday, or are they going to be planning a party for a future day? I've lost track, but apparently today was Wednesday. So
what a great day for a party.
Let's have a party tonight.
Now, I wanted Mason to come and bully them all.
Yeah, why wasn't Mason invited to this?
Because he would have told them how lame they were. Yeah, Bobby and Summer planned the party to cheer up Simon. That's how you know it's going to be crap. And it turns out that Bobby only wanted this party so he can sexually harass Lauren. He's already told him that she doesn't want anything to do with him. I don't want to give you my number. You can tell he's going to wear her down, can't you? And everyone's going to say how sweet and romantic it is. Well, nobody will say that. We're supposed to think that it's sweet and romantic, but it's not. It's like you're a sex pest at this point. Leave her alone. So on Wednesday, the party's starting, and Bobby's made a great punch, which
make a punch. It's blue. You drink it and then you turn into another dodgy guy from the Hay clan.
Well, he's a haymaker because packs a punch. Right. Lauren, Nina and Simons start ladling it out.
I don't understand those.
This is at Carla's flat.
Yeah.
So where Carla is, I don't know. But
she's away.
I would be hiding in the bedroom.
She's handily away.
Hiding in the bedroom from all the horrible teenagers. So Leanne's been told that Simon is having a film night with a mate. So they send Sam to bed, and then this is when they want to have their romantic night in, when Gooseberry comes in. Toya ruins the mood, and she keeps saying, are you all right? Do you mind if I stay? And she's like, no, we're fine. And Toya's like, I don't have any counselling skills that would allow me to pick up on the subtext of this, which is that you actually want me to piss off. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah,
probably not.
So
she just settles in just to enjoy herself. She should go to the other party. She pretty quite like it.
She does realise in the end that
she doesn't.
She does.
No, she doesn't.
Well,
she doesn't. She realises that maybe she's not thrilled about it, but
Leanne says it's fine. And
exactly. Toya sits down, never once thinking to herself, I'm the one who suggested they have a romantic night in.
They must be like a bit sick of the sight of each other because they work together. They live together.
Yeah, when you want to kill. This is how murders start. This is how a murder podcast begins. Right, so back at the swinging party, Bobby's badgering Lauren. She turns him down, but then she tells Summer that she likes him. But she's done with men. She's done with men for the time being. And also, she can't be dealing with going out with Bobby. Why would you? Why? Nina's there too, and Nina's just fallen so far now that this is like her great Wednesday evening in, is hanging around with this lot of losers. Like, she used to be like, she would not hang around with these people. If she did, she'd do it like ironically. But no, she's there now crying over Asher, and they're all giving her sympathy. And except Bobby, he wants her to go because she's starting to make Lauren sad, and he still thinks somehow he's got a chance with her. Yeah, he tries to get rid of Nina, doesn't he? So everybody ends up going home, apart from Simon, that's where he lives. And then he gets left alone looking at a picture of his dad and drinking beer. That really was the most tragic party, wasn't it? It was the most loser party ever. So I think it's supposed to be, but we talk about how they invested in the teens, and there's a great crop of characters, and you've got the younger ones even, coming up. But these are like the duds, and I'm sorry, all of these characters, it's not your fault. Party. These characters are the ones that Coronation Street has been kicking in the kidneys the whole time. And then they have a party with them and go, look at all these losers, everybody, aren't they crap? It's like, you've written them to be crap. Nina used to be cool. You've ruined Nina. To be sweet. Bobby's never been any good at all. It's not his fault, it's the way he's written. And Simon's just a sullen dick who's been like that since, his balls dropped. Just get rid of him. I tell you what they should have laced that punch with, cyanide. Yeah. That really bummed me out, that party. I've never wanted so many people in one room to all disappear. Just keel over. Oh, I need somebody to rescue Nina from that. You're right. Get Nina out of it. And I want somebody to give Bobby something to do that's not been a sex pest. Because it's not cute and funny.
I think he's going to... Because obviously there's stuff that's not right with Lauren, isn't there? She's got problems with a mystery man, whoever that could be.
Her pimp.
Yeah, and people trying to phone her. And I think Bobby is going to probably... Rescue her from that. Possibly with the power of comedy, I don't know.
Oh, yes. Saving the world with the power of comedy.
Yeah. Just laugh your cares away, Lauren.
If he wins her over by persistence and pluck, I'm going to be mad because I thought we learned and we left that in the 90s.
But she did admit to Summer that she quite likes Bobby.
Exactly, but that's because they've written her to say that. In real life, most women would be like, this is creepy and weird, I'm going home. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
But this is how every 90s comedy went. There was always some persistent man who would not take no for an answer. And at the end of the movie, the woman's like, oh, okay, it's really sweet how stalkery you're being. I guess if I don't say yes, you'll kill me.
He's very charming.
He's not charming.
No, he likes to use his... she called him lame or something, didn't she?
Yeah,
and
then
he was like,
said,
I don't think that's what the PC Brigade would call me.
That's quite funny.
He will guilt people into feeling sorry for him about his disability, and that's his best chat up line, isn't it?
It's not a winner. I don't... I was going to say at the beginning of this podcast, but I forgot to say, let's not talk about Bobby.
Can't help it.
Oh, I know what I was going to get you to say.
What?
Who's the elephant man, Michael?
Oh, yeah. No, I did get that wrong, and I was thinking of the Rain Man in the last week's podcast.
I was trying to tell you that it was wrong. I thought you meant elephant because they've got a good memory.
No, I just got to... Forget it. I'm sure nobody pointed that out. Right, Friday...
That's because everyone was so confused. Nobody would have thought, from what you were saying, you meant to say the Rain Man.
Okay.
When you said the elephant.
Okay.
Do you know who the Elephant Man is?
Yes, I do know.
It's not Dumbo.
I know. Right. Joel's story then. So it gets slightly more interesting on Friday. He offers to be a helpful boyfriend and go and see a client that she can't have time to see for whatever reason, I can't remember. So that she can then go and meet up with Ed and keep on saying to him, stop working with Damon. He's a nasty piece of work. He's tried to do fraud with your list. Just stay away from him, Dad. So, Joel's in the bistro later talking with this woman on Dee Dee's behalf about a traffic incident. I don't know what that was about. And then a woman comes in and plonks herself down next to them. And he's looking awkward. He knows who this woman is. We don't. The client gets fed up with him clearly not giving her his undivided attention, and it seems like this lady has tracked Joel down from somewhere, but he didn't want to know. We didn't get to hear much of their conversation. I'm not sure whether there was any clues that she gave away about who she was. But there was a mystery woman in Joel's life, and I, for one, say that makes him slightly more interesting as a character. So he goes back to the flat, has a bit of a chat with Dee Dee, part of which involves her having a bit of a slip of the tongue and saying that she loves him. And then she gets a bit flustered and goes inside. It's the classic, I didn't mean to say that I love you. And then by the end of the episode, they both admit that they love each other, which is kind of cute, but I don't know. It didn't necessarily mirror our experiences of telling each other we loved each other, did it? I don't remember how it happened.
It was to do with JFK.
What?
It was to do with the JFK assassination.
Don't think it was. And anyway, so Dee Dee's all embarrassed at herself, and then they're talking. She decides that Joel is going to dump her now for telling him that she loves him. So when he invites her to the bistro, she's like, yeah, I'm going to go along. At least he won't dump me in public. So she goes there. Joel's still being harassed on his phone by this mysterious Emily woman, not Emily Bishop. Oh my gosh, what was that?
Bishop alarm.
And then Dee Dee is like, I'm really sorry about what I said earlier. And he's like, don't worry, I'm falling in love with you, actually. I have been for ages. I've never felt this way about anyone before. And they have a kiss and now they love each other. How charming. So at the end of the evening, and Dee Dee invites Joel back to hers for a nightcap.
They should go to the party.
Yeah, they should just they'd liven things up a bit over at Simon's. His phone's been dinging all night though. He's saying that it's work related, but it's still Emily, and he phones her up at the end and says, I told you I'd sort it, Emily, and I will, so back off, please.
What
Who's
do we
Emily?
think is going on here?
Well, we had to look at the credits, and she's not down as Emily Deering.
No.
So unless she's one of these modern, newfangled women who don't take their husband's names when they get married,
I can't believe it.
she's not his.
I think she could still
wife.
be his wife.
I think that she possibly could be as well.
I think that it would be too obvious if they called her Emily Deering in the...
Yeah, but they usually, if they want to hide somebody's
They just say
surname in
Emily,
the credits,
yeah.
they just say the second name.
But maybe they thought, oh, this will get them. They will never guess. Because they're all sexist.
There's clearly, you know, it's
Well,
not.
do you think it's obvious, do you think?
A
that-
romantic partner
Yeah.
of the past, because the way that they were talking to each other, they're not still involved, so it's not like he's timing her with Dee Dee.
I know what it is.
What?
He's going to sort out the plumbing. He said, I'll phone him up. I said, I'll sort it, Emily. And Will said, back off, please. That's what you need to say to me. And I'm like, Monica, you haven't done it.
So he's promised to get their leaky sink, sink fixed.
Leaky Sphinx.
Leaky sink fixed. Maybe. I
mean, by the time we come back, we might have found out.
I found it somewhat interesting.
I know, but again, this feels like Curtis. Again.
Having secret.
And it was...
Secret handsome
wasn't...
boyfriend.
I've said this before and nobody corrected me or said something anything different. Was she not somebody he knew from the support group or something?
Who?
The girl that kept turning up. And we thought, oh, who's this woman?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
There's only so many
Ever
things it
so
can be.
slightly interested in this.
It's not
Which is
someone
more than I
from...
was before.
Imagine if it was someone from work. It is just his colleague going, you got to sort out, you got to file...
Do you think that maybe Dee Dee's going to find
motions.
out about her and then get all upset, but then it turns out that it is completely innocent? Could be that as well.
Like what, though?
Just a work thing. She's going to be like,
That's what
oh
I
my
just
God.
said.
Yeah, but if Dee Dee finds out about it, I think we just have to
But
wait
he
and
said
see
it was a
what happens.
work thing. And then what will she find out? That it is actually a work thing?
Yeah, but after she's got the wrong end of the stick and maybe thought
Made
that
a
he's
fool
having
of
an affair with
herself.
someone. I don't know. Finally,
I think we've established that we don't know.
finally for Friday, back to the Steve storyline, which wasn't much. Gemma takes a swig of drink, which I think is her cue to say, Michael, you can do the synopsising for this.
I thought I just did it.
No, I just did the
I'll
last
do it
one.
then. No, I'm going to do it.
Go on then. You got 3 scenes in this story on Friday.
On Friday, Amy walks in. Steve's got a rose in his mouth. What did you think of that? You like that?
Very romantic.
Funny?
No.
He's attempted a romantic lunch with Tracy, but she's not turned up. Then he gets a text from her saying, I can't come, I'm at a flower market. And Amy says, do it tonight then. And Steve's like, oh, she's always tired and she never wants to spend any time with me. And she always...
I thought that Simon Gregson did alright in this
Yeah.
scene. It wasn't... He wasn't as awful on Friday's episode.
And
That's a serious scene, and he was down about the state of his marriage.
It
and I
was
think he did an alright
sympathetic
job,
too, and you
actually.
can kind of like go, yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Like, not making time, you have to make time for each other.
Yeah.
In the pub later.
I've spent the last hour and a half with you. What do you mean?
You haven't got any roses in your mouth.
I can't do a podcast with a rose in my mouth. That'd be ridiculous. Continue.
In the pub later, Steve says to Tim, do you think I'm sexy? Because my marriage is going through a rough patch. And I'm worried Tracy's gone off me.
Yeah.
And Tim says...
Give her time.
I thought you'd written give her our time. Like, is there some, like, what does that mean? Some kind of innuendo. Later on...
Rumpy pumpy.
Tim...
Rutting.
Tim tells Steve, Tommy's in my house now and he's painted my walls.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
Yeah, it was funny. That's the end.
That's the end for now, but this is the
To
bit
be
where we have
continued.
to pause the podcast. Well, we're going to actually just carry on with the news now, aren't we?
Yeah, but we'll be back in a second.
We'll be back in a bit because we're going to
don't
watch
need to-
tonight's episode.
Yeah.
And then
Are we going to do a doody-do and then come back? Or...
yeah, let's do a doody-do. Let's do a
Alright.
doody-do and then we'll come back to what happened on Sunday's episode.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back. It's Sunday night now. It's as many hours later. We've waited. We've had some McDonald's. We've watched it. Was it worth the wait? I'm going to say no.
Could have had roast dinner.
That was... We did that street talk short afterwards. It's like, we've got 60 seconds to fill. No, I don't even know what to say.
We didn't even know.
There was a car... It's a sad thing, really, when there's a car crash and there's still nothing to talk about an episode. But I guess we've got a bit longer than 60 seconds to fill now. We'll see what we can do. But yeah, no, I just found that tonight's episode, it wasn't bad. It was just uninspiring. It's the characters that are involved in it at the moment. It's just a mix that I'm not that bothered by. There's some that I like more. Like, I like Dee Dee. I like Sam. But just the general way the stories are going. But
they mentioned the fact that the lawyer's office is out of bounds because it needs to be repaired. Like they knew that we were complaining.
Did they mention that? I missed that. What did they say?
You're pretending that it's not fixed, so you're going to go there and work.
What's taking it so long? Honestly, I don't know. Right, let's.
And the thing that you knew that was going to happen.
Was... Oh, the car crash. Yes, I knew that the car crash was going to happen. I had seen pictures of it. So that means that even the most exciting bit of the episode was something that didn't come as a shock to me. But anyway, should we crack on and carry on with the Adams story, the Damon stuff? Do you want to do this one?
Is this my story though? We've been doing the same stories.
No, we've not. We've been alternating. I don't think so.
No.
I'll do it if you want.
We've been alternating, but I thought...
Okay, well...
I don't really care.
No, I'll do it then. So we started off the episode today with... This is a bizarre interaction between Adam and John on the phone, where he's like, what? You can't do the confession today? And that was making me think, okay, maybe they're just putting off till next week. But then he decides to go through with it anyway. Because Sarah comes over to him and says, we're going to look for a lovely house with a garden. And Adam's like, I don't have a garden. No, that's not fair. John, we're going to do this right now. Forget about your granddaughter and her birthday.
I don't understand this. It makes... Again, it's another thing that raises the stakes for no reason and doesn't make sense. Because John's in control here. John's the one that's doing all the work. John's the one that's going to take the fall for this. If I'm saying I'm going to say I killed somebody, but I'm going to go to prison and I believe that I'll die there, I go when I'm ready. I'm not going when some guy shouts at me down the phone. And I'm certainly not going on my granddaughter's birthday, because if I care enough about my family that I'm going to go to prison in order to make sure that they are well taken care of after my death, I'm not going to leave my granddaughter scarred with the memory that I confessed to a murder on her birthday rather than turning up to a party.
No, he seems
it doesn't make any sense.
He seems to want to desperately do this because he knows it's for the greater good and there will be financial compensation coming his granddaughter's way. No, but it also gives something for Adam to look guilty about later, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know, but again, can you not see my point though?
Yeah, totally.
The point I'm trying to make here is that the conflict was established that it's his granddaughter's birthday, so he can't possibly do it now. And then Adam's like, yes, you have to, because I'm mad about, no, I'm not doing it on my granddaughter's birthday. Well, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Like the conflict. Also, I don't care about John. I don't know who his grandkid is. I don't care whether he ruins her birthday. What I do know is that it doesn't actually make any sense. If you're saying his primary motivation is family, then he screws his family over immediately.
I feel a bit bad.
Can you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course I can. I feel bad for his granddaughter because she got, what was it? He's had a stationery set he bought.
Yeah, what is that?
Taylor.
It's
what all the young uns want this year. This year's hottest birthday gift. A stationery set so that she can write to him in prison.
Yeah, probably. Did you used to get those Oxford mathematical instrument
I know what you mean. With the protractor and the set square that nobody knows how to use.
I don't know what to do with any of them.
Draw a circle with a compass. A pair of compasses, actually. Daniel's listening to me. Yeah. Oh, just in case we forget when we mention it later, the should of line.
Should have, yeah, said should have. So did he.
As I get fed up and marking that on my children's work, I tell them again and again and again, but my kids are always saying should have.
And also Bethany fretting over 50 words and emailing her editor. I hate people like that. I'm sorry. I'm like, writers who do stuff like that. It's like just chill out. Just 50 words. Number one, how long is your piece? Because it looked really long. You can't trim 50 words out of that, then you're a bad writer.
50 words is not really much, is it?
It's nothing.
She is such a good writer that not a single word was wasted there.
Oh, okay, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Anyway, we're not doing that story. So
number two, if it's so short that 50 words would make a significant difference, again, you're a bad writer.
So they go off to the police station later anyway, and Adam has also seen Damon having a go at Dee Dee, or was it Dee Dee having a go at Damon or something? It was about, she thinks that he knows about the insider trading, And then Adam sees it and clocks that there's something brewing
I'm
between
just
them, but
mad
he
about
puts that to one side for later. So he and John arrive at the police station. I was hoping to see a little bit more plotting, rather than just, let's go along, go and do your confession. Don't even get to see the confession. Don't get to see any drama or emotion of it. He just comes out later and is like, oh, they said they let me go.
They have the pep talk at the beginning, which is what I was saying about him going, you have to get your story straight, you have to know this and that.
But it felt like it was rushed a little bit to me. It felt fairly low stakes.
Can I suggest a way of making this more high stakes?
Yeah.
That would have been more interesting than saying it's my granddaughter's birthday, I can't do it now, and Adam saying I don't care. Why didn't they have a scene where Adam made John go to the flat to see what it looked like so he'd better describe it to the police, but then they had to hide because Leanne's coming in.
Well, I was thinking it was going to be something a bit more like that.
Are they going to ever have that scene? Because he doesn't know what Leanne looks like, he doesn't know what the flat looks like. He probably doesn't watch Corrie, so he can't describe it.
Well, they didn't show his confession. I'd be kind of interested. What did they just want to report a crime? Yeah, it was me. You know what? That Natasha Blakeman.
That was like the most interesting aspect of this whole storyline is how are they going to convince the police that this guy's telling the truth? No wonder they let him go. They're like, you crank, get out. You don't even think you're dying of cancer. You look fine to me. Get out.
Well, it was probably Craig that turned him away because, as for all they know, they've just put this dangerous gunman out onto the streets of Weatherfield again. But no, apparently they're going to investigate it. But when they're ready,
it just feels like the least interesting way to tell the story. And I don't know. Again, there are so many points to this that it's easy for us to say. Who knows? Was the set unavailable? Probably because they were filming all the scenes where they harangue Simon.
Oh yeah, maybe.
They could have harangued him somewhere else, couldn't they?
So Adam gets back to the flat later.
But then, I'm just saying that the writers will get given.
Oh.
This is what sets you can use. This is what sets of characters. It's no one's fault particularly, but it just always feels like there are missed opportunities.
It feels like it was lacking something.
Like it felt like there was no punch here.
Such a moany episode.
I know. And again, like saying, like I know it all. I don't know how to write. I don't know how to do this. Otherwise, I'd be like going, "Hey, can you actually hire me for the producer's job?"
Telling you about our experience as viewers.
But anyone can be a critic because we're all expected to watch this and enjoy it. So when we say we don't like it, we're just as valid as anybody else.
Yeah. Anyway, Adam goes back to his flat with Dee Dee and that. It's like, what's going on between you and Damon? Yeah, that's where he's living at the moment. And she says, I think he knows about the insurance fiddling and the also possibly the insider trading as well. And he's like, what?
It's like no one cares about that. It was ages ago.
Yeah, he's going to go and check in with Ed about it. But he sees Damon in the street and says, I know that about you trying to do some attempted fraud with Ed earlier this week, back when it was in that other storyline. What would Sarah think about that then, eh? There's an awful lot of I'm gonna keep your secret. There's lots of blackmail going on, isn't there? And it feels kind of low stakes blackmail. Was the only reason, because it felt odd at the time, didn't it, that Damon was trying to claim those extra items. The only reason that they decided to do that so that Adam will be able to blackmail him about it. I don't know.
Is he though? I don't know.
Anyway, Dee Dee later asks Ed, what does Damon know about the insider trading? And he's like, nothing. I haven't told him about that. You pillow. What have you gone and told him? And then they both now know that Adam and Damon know about something that really should have been kept a bit of a secret. So Ed's not in the clear yet. Oh dear. But by the end of the episode, Adam's on the phone to Harvey saying everything's going to plan so far. Harvey's happy.
There was also a scene where Sarah and Damon were on the sofa looking at houses, and then he was going, I want a garden, you know why? And she's like, what, so you can put a hot tub in it? And he's like, no, so I can grow plants. She's like, I didn't know you like plants. Maybe we're rushing things. Yeah! Yeah.
So anyway,
Corrie does this sometimes though. Characters act like idiots and they do stuff that makes no sense, and then they go like, I wonder if this is a bad idea. Yes, it is. You know it is, and the writers know it is. Stop it.
Did you clock the price of it? It was like 260,000 or something that Sarah was looking to spend.
I don't know where she's getting that in Manchester.
Yeah, I know.
Is it? Well, maybe I don't know. We've looked at places, haven't we? It's not in Media City today, that one, are we?
It is not. No.
That's how much you pay per month in rent.
So Adam's plan's going well. It felt like almost it reached a point where the story can go on hiatus for a little bit. You know, if they didn't mention it again for a few weeks, well, the police decide, oh yeah, I suppose that guy confessed to murder. I suppose we better do something about that.
I would have loved to have seen Swain's face.
Yeah.
When this guy comes in, like, what are you doing? Why? Like, all the things I said about his motivations and stuff, they obviously, like, did they ask him any of this? Oh, really? That's the thing I was interested in the most. Does he know the story? Like, did they test him? Did they say...
Yeah, he's probably sweating.
Like, who had the facts? The person who's asking him questions, do they know the case? Are they accidentally going to provide information to him that he would not necessarily have known if he wasn't the killer? Like, is there stuff, there probably is stuff that hasn't been released to the public that he should be able to tell them.
Yeah.
Did the person know this? Have they asked him properly questions? Like, are we in the habit in this country of letting people come in going, yeah, I murdered a woman, and they're like...
Well, just don't do it again,
yeah,
okay?
Well, it was a woman, though, so that, you know, and you're a man, that happens all the time, no one cares.
I think that it would have been funny if Gary had got wind of this and he's like, look, John, can you tell him you did Rick Neelan as well? And maybe can you say that
Laura's already gone for that.
Oh, yeah, she has, hasn't she? Okay, what about the factory roof? That was you, wasn't it, John?
There's a bunch of people standing outside his door in the morning going, right, I've got a list of things I've done. Someone's like, can you say you were driving a car?
Yeah. He's just going to be the fall guy for everything.
Yeah,
isn't
why
he?
not?
Once word gets out.
Well, you know, in the old days, they used to sacrifice somebody, didn't they, to make sure that they would have a good harvest. So maybe this guy's going to be sacrificed so they can have a good year of Coronation Street.
They need something, I tell you. Right, that was that story anyway. Now, meanwhile, we also had the I think Bethany and Daniel was not the main story today. I suppose it was Simon was the main story. Yeah. But
Daniel gaslighting the whole episode. Like, I didn't say Chit Chat was rubbish.
I couldn't be less interested in the state of the relationship between Daniel and Bethany. So when she ends up dumping him midway through the episode, it's like, oh, good, okay. But back fawning at him again before the end. But I
love how oblivious Daniel is to his own snobbery, but I just kind of wish that Bethany was a bit more twigged onto it, because she seems to believe him. It's like what Steve was saying, like, me and Tracy are having marriage troubles, He feels like he can say anything and criticise her and like belittle her and then go, but I'm not being horrible about Chit Chat magazine, I'm not putting you down. Like, yes you are, you just spent that last scene saying it was crap.
I think they should have had a scene with Daniel and Ken both up on their high horses talking about how dreadful a magazine it is.
When I was younger, I wrote a piece in the local paper about my neighbours. They didn't like that, I can tell you that for nothing. Right. So on Sunday, Bethany tells Daniel, although it's Friday in the episode.
Doesn't matter, it's Sunday.
No, it is Friday because people are working. Like, she's going, my editor hasn't come back to me. Yes, I am not answering emails on Sundays. Bethany tells Daniel she sent the article off and she's waiting to hear from the editor, and he's like, oh, I want to read it because it's got a load of typos in it probably. Do you know what I mean? He's a pickup artist. He's like, has gone on YouTube and found how to get women. Just like keep negging them and telling them bad things about themselves, and then eventually you'll break down their confidence so much that they think they need you to help them.
So he's currently under the impression that she's writing for Demeanor magazine.
Oh, Demeanor, yeah, we saw that, didn't we? Because Sarah had a copy of it at the beginning of the episode. So he's in his flat later, and Lauren's talking about what she's done an essay, and he's like, you're ready for the exam, and she's, oh, I don't know.
How long has she been preparing for this? It feels like 3-4 months maybe. Doesn't GCSEs take 2 years to study for?
No, yes, they do when you're at school and you're doing 10 at once.
I suppose so.
You should, and also
that feels quite easy then, really.
She would have
a few more under them about myself.
But didn't she go to school? She should have learned this already. Like, surely she's just refreshing herself.
Yeah, maybe.
She surely has the grasp of basic English. Is she so bad that she
does have the world's best teacher, Daniel Osborne.
If she's like so bad that she can't do the basics in 3 months, then she's never going to get a pass anyway, so forget it. Right, so anyway, Suki congratulates Bethany in the cafe about the Chit Chat gig, and Bethany's like, oh, don't tell anyone because I'm going to do it under a fake name because my family think I'm writing for Demeanor. And again, like, she's crapping all over Chit Chat too, but when Daniel does it, she's like, Snob. Anyway, Daniel brings Lauren a form so she can apply for this GCSE exam. And
how
it's
much
like
was it? £120?
£148.
£148.
I know. This is why you take advantage of your... Like, they don't tell you this at school. One of the things they should tell you is, like, pay attention. If you don't do it now, it actually will cost you money later.
Would you rather pay attention or 150 grand?
Exactly.
Not grand, pounds.
Might be 150 grand by the time. They should be like, right, while you're here at school, you can have free dentistry, you get free exams, and if you want it, we'll take your appendix out too. All for free.
I hate it when they start talking about exam grades now. I don't understand. What do you say? It's at least a 5, 4's a pass.
What does that mean?
Go
Why did they change it?
I think literally we've changed our grading system just
to make other people, to make exams that...
Is it to make everyone else feel stupid and that ergo the British feel cleverer for knowing what the number system means?
But we don't know.
Well, the people that are doing it. Eventually, people younger than us.
But the alphabetical score of like A to F is universally understood. Everybody who uses the alphabet knows... Oh, isn't that a grade that's used across the world? No one does 1 to
probably
7. What's the highest? Is 7 the best or is 1 the best?
I think 7 or 9. I think it's 9.
It's stupid.
I think that's the best.
Why
because Daniel said that 4's a
9?
pass. I don't know. They should have just added an S grade to the normal rankings if they wanted to modernise it.
S plus.
Yeah.
And then when you go into the exam, the examiner's there and he's got a picture of all the people doing the exam and he drags you up to S tier. He's doing the rankings of the...
Or they could have made it like bronze, silver, gold and platinum, couldn't they? They could
have done a lot of things.
But
there's nothing intrinsically logical about 9 being the highest number.
No, but anyway.
The only reason it makes sense is because they can just go, oh, we've added 10. We've added 11. We've added 12.
I suppose so, yeah. I could not care one jot about Lauren and her GCSE. I can't think of anything that I've cared less about in Coronation Street in recent years. Like,
well, anyway, he brings her an exam form,
precious watching time,
and she's like, "Oh no, that's a lot of dates I've got to go on to get this."
Yeah, that's a good point. She could probably earn that in a night on her back.
Michael, I was trying to be delicate. That's rude. Bethany and Daniel in the bistro later, and that was really unpleasant.
Sorry.
Bethany and Daniel in the bistro later, and she's like, oh, I hope that the magazine will accept 50 words over the word count. And then the phone rings, and he picks up her phone.
She's gone to bog or something.
And he says, oh, it's this Bethany Platt's phone, her PA speaking, and it's Steph from Chit Chat. We never find out whether she doesn't mind the extra 50 words, do we?
No.
I mean, if she's anything like me...
When you got writing that good.
She'll say, as long as... I'm not paying for them, though.
Just stick it into ChatGPT and say reduce it by 50 words.
She gets back and he's a bit judgy about this. He's like, oh...
Little bit.
He says, oh, what's your byline going to be? Is it going to be my holiday couple swap hell or my Botox fillers gone wrong or something? She's like, what are you talking about? How do you know about you snob? And he's like, oh, I'm not being snobby. Oh, no, I didn't mean... You got the wrong idea about me. I'm Daniel. I'm a man of the people. If they want to read Chit Chat and rot their brains, it's up to them. I don't mind. And he's like, so what is it you're actually writing? And he was like, she says, oh, well, it was about Ryan and Daisy and maybe it was about you. What did he think she was writing about before?
She wouldn't say, would she? She was being very cagey about it.
Anyway, she says, I've changed your names, don't worry about it. Daniel is not taking this well. And he's like, was this why you're going out with me? Is this why you were talking to Lauren? She's like, no, but no. And he gets very, very annoyed, but she dumps him because she's so fronted. They're both a pair of snobs, aren't they, honestly? She goes home to Sarah's house and tells her mum everything. And Daniel was a snob, so she dumped him. And she tells her what the article was about. Sarah's such a bitch. She's like, ooh, juicy.
It just kind of comes out over the course of the conversation that she
really does like Daniel. Bethany, Sarah, don't go to your mum for love advice, Bethany. Look who she's sitting on the sofa smooching, trying to buy a house with. She's an idiot. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Oh, I like Daniel. Oh, so she goes grovelling back to him.
Does anybody ship Daniel and Bethany?
Yeah, who likes them together?
Anybody,
I left silence for you to speak up, but you didn't. So she goes back to Daniel. Oh, sorry, Daniel. Oh, I got fired from demeanour for not checking my sources.
I think it's because I still see Bethany as like
a child,
a little girl. She's been away for a few years. She obviously is over the age of 20 now, but to me, she's still baby-faced 16-year-old Bethany.
Well, it's because she's immature, and he is such a stick in the mud that it's not age gap; it's maturity gap.
Mm. Yeah, I think so. He's an old man.
He's like born smoking a pipe.
Mm.
So she says, "I've printed the article out. I'm so sorry. Please read it." And before they get any further, Lauren comes in, and Lauren immediately comes in like, "Oh, hi everyone." Oh. And as soon as I saw her face, and she's great. She's really great at acting. Lauren. She does the perfect job because she just looked miserable. And as soon as she came in, I was like, "No, it's already a miserable scene because she's trying to grovel to Daniel who doesn't deserve it." And then she's like, "Oh, I can't afford to do my GCSE," and he says, "I'll give you the money for it," and she's like, "Oh no, I don't want." Okay then.
Yeah, basically.
What a dilemma. So later on, Bethany gets a message.
Lauren just keeps inserting herself into scenes this episode. It was mostly about Daniel and Bethany, and every now and then Lauren will go, "Hello, it's me. Just to tell you about my exams. I'm doing my GCSEs. I'm not doing my GCSEs. I can't afford it." Oh, go on then if you're paying, I suppose so. Oh, but I'm very sad about it because I've got a tragic, mysterious secret.
Well, she's going,
also, I'm being harassed by Bobby.
Pay you back £10 a week, maybe. It's like, well, maybe stop drinking alcohol out of a fish bowl and you could afford to pay it back faster. So later on, Bethany gets a text message from Daniel going, "I've read it. I want to talk." So she goes to see him and he says, I've read it all and I've corrected all your spelling. It's very good writing. You should be aiming higher than Chit Chat, but I'm not negging it. I'm not trying to put you down. But you're writing for a trash mag. But don't take that the wrong way. She says, "Oh, thank you." Then Lauren comes in again. "Hello, sorry, I saw." She's like a toddler who keeps breaking into like Valentine's Day so they can prevent you having another kid. "Hello, you gonna get it on?" "No, you're not. Look at me. I'm gonna put you off."
Lauren doesn't really feel like she belongs anywhere.
Oh.
She was having her funny little scenes with Ryan last year. Now he's off in Glasgow. She hasn't really got any mates, has she?
No, but Bobby's her friend now. So she's like, "I've registered, hooray! Oh, Bobby wants a drink with me. I'm going." So she goes, and Daniel says, "You know what? Even though this is a really nicely written piece and it's very balanced and fair and you mature and nuanced, etc. Daisy, and you've changed the names. Daisy's still going to know it's about her, and she's going to get mad when she reads it. You need to tell her." Which will be. I'm looking forward to that scene.
Yeah. It should be quite fireworky. I hope that Jenny's there in the background to give Daisy a bit of a backup.
Yeah, backup. Then we get Lauren joining Bobby for a drink, and he's proud of her, and she's pleased that he is.
It does kind of feel like she's just given in to his
Lauren and Bobby
pestering.
All of their scenes just feels like somebody saw the script and put post-it notes going, "No, put this in. Put this in this scene. It doesn't matter. I don't know, it doesn't fit, but put them in the scene."
Yeah. Anyway, that was
sex pest Bobby again.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So the main event tonight, we had Simon's car crash. Bobby starting the episode by pouring a can of beer over his head.
I hated it.
And therefore all over Carla's
sofa
as well.
All over Carla's sofa, stinking it
But
up.
it's a joke.
And then
it's a jolly joke from
Simon's
Funny Bobby.
They're covered in beer, and then he puts the duvet over his head. These are human beings. No human being.
It did look like water, to be fair, though.
It did look like water. Anyway, he takes a nice fortifying swig of vodka.
Yeah.
Because,
over at the bistro.
Because honestly, if I woke up and the first thing I saw was Bobby, I'd be the same.
Just to help get me through the morning. Nick suggests over at the bistro that they have a romantic night out with Leanne on Valentine's Day, and she's like, "What the hell? Valentine's Day is our busiest day."
This is like Father Christmas saying to Mrs. Claus, I don't know, it's a mixed family, let's just take Christmas off.
I don't know whether...
Again, these are supposed to be human beings.
I don't know whether... every day seems to be their busiest day because everybody goes to the bistro At a drop of a hat.
Yeah. It's our busiest day. All the Barlows will be in. I mean, all the Platts will be in.
I was just going to say as well, do you think this exam that Lauren's going to do, is that going to be mixed up with drama? Does she have to wait until like May, June time to do it? That's one thing. And
I don't know how it works now.
Is she actually going to be able to take it, or will she be caught up in some drama?
She'll be caught up in some drama, and then she'll do a little sad face, but then she'll probably go in and like ace it.
Probably will.
And get like a 10.
Good for her. Simon is playing. He's at Nick and Leanne's flat playing on his PlayStation later. He's playing a racing game, which I guess is some kind of foreshadowing. They could have had him crashing it if they wanted to really lay it on thick.
Yeah, but they would have to have designed a racing game.
I don't know what the game was. I didn't recognise it, but I don't like to play games like that. So Sam's got this chess competition today.
Splatoon, was it?
Sam's got this chess competition on today, and I end up giving up making notes on that. He didn't win in the end.
I wasn't interested. I'm sorry, Sam.
It turned into a friend connect game of chess.
I'm sure it was charming and adorable, but at this point I hated everybody, and I couldn't understand half of what Sam was even saying today. He kept mumbling. I couldn't hear what he was saying.
There was like in the car scenes later, there was sounds of the engines rounding him out a bit.
But yeah, he was playing this chess game, and then he follows it, like you said, remotely. And he keeps criticising everyone's moves. Kind of like us watching Coronation Stream.
Offering sage advice.
Like, shut up, Sam. Maybe you'd be crap too.
Anyway, before all that, he has to be taken to the chess competition. And who can take him? Only Simon is free. And he didn't really want to because he knows that he's tanked up. Leanne's like, no, who was it? It was Leanne that told him to go, wasn't it? I think. No, it was Nick.
Nick, because Nick,
that's it.
Nick's
Nick says you gotta
doing
go.
something, isn't he?
Yes, Nick's going off to buy Leanne a secret engagement ring because he wants to get married again to her.
Just do it online.
Meanwhile, Sam's in the cafe. Oh yeah, so Simon comes and picks Sam up. He's got a can in his hand.
It's an energy drink.
Yeah,
I did see it was an energy drink. He's trying to sober himself up.
Yeah, do they counteract each other?
Yes, you can do that.
Right, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So, to cut a long story short, he has a bit of a crash. So, it was kind of Sam's... It's not Sam's fault.
I was going to say this.
Simon was driving drunk, but Sam was being a bit of a distractive passenger. This is why they have signs on the back of buses that say don't talk to the driver while vehicle is in motion.
Do not tap on the glass.
Do not say, did you write me this card?
Yeah, what was that about? Anyway,
Roy had snuck a card into Sam's bag. Sam finds it and says, was this you from Simon? Do you think that Simon would have sent you a good luck card?
No.
Seriously.
Also, what was the point of that?
What?
I wondered whether there would be a subplot where Simon tried to pretend that somebody stole the car and that's why it crashed, and then they found the card in the footwell and went, well, why would the thief of the car forge a card from Roy wishing Sam good luck on his chess game then?
No, it was just that Simon was trying to pick up the card because it fell in the footwell, and that's what led him to have a crash.
But
and
again,
he
I'm
went
going to
into
say,
a bollard.
To be fair to Sam, children don't get how distracting, even adults at times, are annoying in a car.
I don't get why Sam was sitting in the middle seat in the back.
So that we could get a good view of his face when he died.
It wasn't the most exciting of car crashes.
No,
we kind of see him almost about to crash, and then we see the aftermath of the crash, which is mostly the bumpers smashed up a bit, and he's knocked over a 30 miles an hour limit sign.
Which Kevin thought was hilarious.
Good. Oh, what did he say? What was the joke?
He said he's gone over the speed limit.
Oh yeah, that was
or something like that. Great.
Ransom Vance. Get it on the internet.
Get Abby on that.
So Simon gets out the car. It's kind of smoking a bit. It did give me a few reminders of Imran's death because it was down by the building with the scaffolding, wasn't it? But he's all right and gets Sam out, and then he decides that they have to leg it back home and abandon it because he knows he's a little bit sozzled. Meanwhile, we've got going on here. Leanne needs to go off somewhere in the bistro. Nick says, I'll take my car because he knows that Simon has got her car. And then Nick brings out this engagement ring to show Toya and says, look, we're going to get married. Oh. So Leanne gets to the flat. It's a little surprised to see that Simon's there with Sam, and Simon's like, oh, he had a little bump in the car. So Leanne goes through quite a lot of the episode thinking it was just a bit of a prank, doesn't she? So she's immediately sympathetic. And says, well, how bad's the damage? And he says, oh, I abandoned it. And she's like, well, you should have probably stayed with it and let me know about it. And then she remembers that this is an alcoholism story and says, "When did you start drinking last night, Simon?" "Before midnight, I swear," says Simon.
So we've had this before with Emma. Do you remember? She was drunk when she was doing a lesson for somebody.
I mean, he could have stopped drinking before midnight and he just started again this morning.
Yeah, that is truthful.
Yeah. So he starts to realise...
Anyway, like I said before, your one true easy way, get out of jail free card, and you can use me as evidence. I'll go to court for you to stand up and say, if you're in a car crash and you're drunk, you immediately get out of the car and start drinking. Then they can't prove that you...
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
See, that's my top tip. That's my life hack.
When we were watching, you said that Sam should have got in the driving seat and pretended it was him.
Quick,
I'm
Sam.
very intelligent. I'm a child protege, you know. They let me drive already.
Sorry, I got distracted because I'm also playing chess. Yeah, so you can use that. You can use that handy tip.
Right.
And also, if you kill somebody, do it with a leg of lamb that's frozen and then eat it.
Yes.
Because then the evidence is gone. How can they prove it?
You listen to too many of these murder podcasts, Gemma.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, exactly. So watch out.
So Simon kind of starting to realise that he's landed himself in a little bit of a mess, especially as Leanne says, "Well, look, the police are probably going to be there now because the car's been abandoned, and we need to go back and get it." And he doesn't want to go, obviously, because he doesn't want to get arrested. And he then admits to Leanne that he was over the limit when he drove, and probably still is, to be fair. So Leanne's fuming at this, but Simon doesn't want her to tell Nick.
He doesn't like him already.
He's like, yeah, proper scared of Nick this episode, isn't he? Is Nick really that bad? He's saying Nick's gonna throw him out. Is he?
Maybe it's just that disapproving glare.
Oh yeah, the squint of disapproval again. Yeah, maybe. Leanne goes to the garage and says, "Abby, look, you can have Valentine's meal on me if you go and rescue the car now."
Why don't you just pay for it? Why don't you just pay her to do a job?
Well, I think she's already kind of busy, so she wants to do it.
Well, Kevin does it anyway.
Oh yeah, he does, doesn't she? Nick sees Kevin come back to the Victoria Street later with Leanne's car sort of looking a bit worse for wear on the back of it, and he's like, "Bloody hell, what's happened?" Rushes inside. Simon, meanwhile, is having a sneaky pee around the corner.
Hang on, a peer, not a pee.
Yes, a pee around the corner. He's having a little look, and then he leaves Peter a sad voice message saying, "Oh, I really need you here, Dad." So it's all Peter's fault, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like, Pete, I want to know what Peter's like when he's listening to all these messages.
No, because he deleted it.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
But he has, I'm sure he's left him messages before, and Peter's just like there going, "La la la, I'm round the other side of the world, nothing I can do about it, you'll be fine, Simon." I feel bad for him.
I think that between the two of them, Leanne and Peter are both terrible, aren't they? Because Leanne is over-mothering him and like helping him out. Every single time he does anything wrong, she's like, "I'll fix it for you." Like, he's just gone, "Oh, yeah, I was drink driving with a kid in the car and I crashed your car and I left it there. Sorry." And she's like, "Oh, I'm very disappointed in you."
Anyway, let's try and keep it hidden away from Nick.
Let's cover it up. And then Peter's like, "Sorry, I can't. There's no reception in Europe."
So Simon also starts looking for train tickets to London because he's going to do a little runaway. Nick's trying to get hold of Simon later just to make sure he's okay, and he is. He's hiding around the corner. And then Leanne goes back to the flat and finds Simon with a packed hold-all. She catches him mid-runaway and gives him a nagging of a lifetime about the whole situation. He's like, "Oh, Nick will throw me out. I might as well be homeless in London as homeless here." And then Nick comes in and Leanne covers for him.
Yeah,
because she's a good mum.
Is
saying
she?
The brakes
Is that
failed.
what it is?
Yeah.
Is that what you describe it as?
So Nick, what were we thinking? Nick and Leanne getting married again? Is that going to be the wedding of 2024 in Coronation Street? I kind of forget whether they're married or not. Those two, they've been on and off. So they have been married at least twice before, haven't they? To each other,
allegedly.
Like,
I mean, what could go wrong with the secret?
Yeah, I think Nick's not going to be best pleased when he realises that Leanne's covering up for the fact that Simon put his son in mortal danger. He was alright. He was fine. He was alright.
Well, she's like, "Oh, the brakes failed," and he's like, "Oh, never mind." Oh my god.
So yeah, that was that.
Cool.
Moving on to Dee Dee.
It's because I'm tired. I'm sorry. I'm just tired.
It is tiring, but there wasn't a whole lot of inspiring in tonight's episode. It was just like the okayest of the okay episodes.
Could have done without this episode. Like, what? I know that what? Right, okay. Why are they spending all this money on stupid stunts, like blowing up vans and crashing cars and stuff? Nobody wants this. It doesn't really change anything either, because Simon came home and went, "Sorry, Leanne," and Leanne went, "That's all right. We'll keep a secret from Nick so that it ruins my wedding." Really?
Back in the day, a car crash used to mean something.
I know.
And it's 10 a penny now, really, isn't it?
And it costs money. This is all cost money. Instead of spending money on crashing Simon's car, why didn't they keep the lawyer's office?
I like a stunt. I love a good stunt in Coronation Street, but they're just starting to feel a bit
it's
low
the weekly
stakes.
stunt or like the monthly stunt. Yeah, they are, and then nothing happens. Like
they walk
never.
out and they're fine.
Yes.
And yeah, we got a nice little location
crashed a
shoot,
car.
but
Right.
there was no peril in
Nobody was worried.
No.
Right. So.
There's only a little bit of the DD story that I want there.
No, Dee and Joel love each other, and Ali's pleased.
Yeah, basically. Oh, that was it.
No. Oh, that was it.
That's everything.
But we still don't know what Joel's. Does Joel know any other?
Don't know who this Emily is.
Who's Emily? Does Joel have any other conspiracy theories he wants to share? Like the royal family's a bunch of reptilians.
Lizard people, yeah. I don't know, maybe. That was it. So
I wonder whether he's got any controversial views about conspiracies and global elites and adrenochrome and babies. And
if he did,
Epstein's
I'm sure
Island.
Peter would come back to Weatherfield to discuss them.
I'd love him to get properly in the weeds with the most bizarre QAnon. Remember when they all thought that JFK was going to come back to life?
No,
A load of them
passed me by.
A load of them all went to where he was killed in Dealey Plaza, and they were convinced he was going to come back to life. Literally,
Did he?
No, he didn't.
Right, let's end this here because I got
Just puts out in misery.
very, very little to say. We still got 40 minutes out of it nearly, but yeah, it was just things happened in today's episode. But on the whole, that was a not great week, was it? Maybe I'm looking back on Monday's episode with the Tommy Orpington and Steve stuff and thinking,
it was good.
That wasn't so bad.
That was good. Look, the writers, it's not the writers' fault because they get given what the story is. And the story, I don't know what's going on with some of them. Some of them are just not, I'm not going to be interested in them. It doesn't really matter what happens because the characters aren't interesting or the idea behind the story just doesn't appeal to me. But there are people making ridiculous decisions in order to facilitate the plot, which has been a problem with Corrie for, I'd say about 5 years now.
Bring back Kate Oakes or something.
But there's been some great, there've been some funny, lines and some good performance. Oh, I don't know.
They're just doing
I don't
stories,
want to be relentlessly negative,
including characters that we're not really into at the moment. But it was nice that Abby was back in it. I mean, I'm sure that's the last we'll have seen of her for another 2 months again, I expect. Why are they using characters that no one's interested in over characters that people like? Why are they using all these boring characters no one asked for, or new returning characters? I don't want to be really mean, and I don't like singling people out, and it's no reflection upon the actors themselves, but Lauren, Damon, Bobby, nobody wants them to be the linchpin of a week. No.
There are other characters that people love that we would love to see, and they're just spending their time on the periphery going, oh dear, or nothing, or not even in it.
Or coming into the bistro to book a table and then that's their appearance count for the week. Yeah. Right, come on, let's end this. What we give it, character of the week.
We talk about it later.
We do talk about this later. And I'm not going to say that tonight's changed my mind on it. So I think Tim was my character of the week. And he didn't really do much, but I quite enjoyed his little rivalry with Steve about, Tommy's pet in my bedroom.
I really don't know who to pick. I'm sorry. I'm really mad about this whole week.
You got to pick somebody. You got to.
Tommy
Sam.
Orpington.
Tommy Orpington. I'll let you pick Tommy Orpington.
I would have picked Sam, but I couldn't
solid
understand
choice.
what he was saying.
It wasn't a quality. It wasn't one of Sam's best week. He was there as a plot device to help get Simon out on the road. But
I'm only saying it because I know that some people do struggle to understand what characters say, and it's not necessarily don't feel bad, and it's not a bad.
They probably struggle to hear what we're saying at some point. I am
don't
going
have
to
subtitles.
give this week's Coronation Street.
I'm going to give this 2.5 books that Joel's read about the JFK assassination, because one of them was too long and it had really long words.
2.5, you say? I think I'm going less generous than that.
Well, I know, but I gave Monday's banging, didn't I?
Yeah, I'm going to give this week's Corrie 2 bottles of orange juice, or OJ, as I call it.
That was just the worst.
Just a little callback to another Bobby zinger from Wednesday's episode,
Why
or whatever
did they
day of the
write
week
that
it was. Because he's funny.
Like,
That's a funny
I can
thing
get
to say.
how it might. I can get the delivery of it. It might be funny if it's a part of a stand-up as a joke about how lame it is that he says he calls it OJ, like he's the only one who's ever called it OJ. But you got to be on the side of the character to find that funny, that he's being depreciate.
Yeah.
Like, you can't take the mick out of yourself when everyone already hates you, because they're just like, yeah, you are an idiot. Do you see what I mean? You need to have a bit. You need to have the goodwill of people to poke fun at yourself, because, well, I'm not going to explain.
Right, that's enough moaning. I'm really sorry. I know people do like it when we moan sometimes, but I think it's when we moan in a funny way. And today just felt like a depressing moan about the fact that this week was a bit pants.
And again, always I say thank you very much to Corrie for writing and producing this, because it's...
Still love Corrie. That's what we have to be. We have to be critical when we can. We can't bum lick all the time.
I don't want to be so mean and unfair, but I think the criticism is generally fair.
Yeah,
but it must be really dispiriting, and I don't want anyone to feel bad. But
I've got
I'm
no
gonna
idea.
be honest.
I don't know what's happening next week. I've not seen anything in the previews, but I guess we'll find out soon, because we've got 4 episodes to enjoy, haven't we?